Chapter 1054. The patriarch did not say anything, which meant that he agreed. Just like what the others thought, Longao was at fault first. Even if he was the patriarch of the Long family, he could not cover for Longao. If that was the case, how could he explain it to the rest of the family? Go. As soon as Longhang finished his words, two disciples of the Long family came out from behind. They were both black-grayed great emperors. Everyone sighed endlessly. Longao was dead for sure this time. The great elder had personally given the order, and the patriarch had tacitly agreed. Could Longao still live? The two disciples quickly arrived in front of Longao. The corners of their mouths revealed a trace of a cruel smile. Doing this kind of thing was what they liked the most, especially in front of so many people. Longao, are you convinced? Things had already come to this point, and Longhang still asked if he was convinced. What a fool. Longhang shook his head in disdain. Longao said with a face full of contempt, "Indiscriminate, I will not be convinced by such a punishment. The punishment has been decided." As soon as Longhang finished his words, two screams were heard. The blood-curdling screams were not from Longao, but from the two disciples. Like a kite with a broken string, the two of them took advantage of the momentum to fly out and fiercely fell to the ground. Without a doubt, both of their arms were broken, and their cultivation was crippled. What is going on? Looking at the scene before them, everyone was dumbfounded. Wasn't Longao punished by having his arms cut off and his cultivation crippled? Why were there two people who had their arms cut off and their cultivation crippled? Longao, you dare to challenge the family's punishment? Not to mention others, even Longhang had never thought that Longao would still be so rampant under such circumstances. He simply did not put him in his eyes, and did not even put his family in his eyes. Longao stood quietly on the spot, completely ignoring Longhang's words. If people don't offend me, I won't offend them. If people want to offend me, I will definitely offend them. Longao did not choose to compromise because of the Long family. What a joke. Severing his arms, crippling his cultivation, and expelling him from the clan? What was the difference between this and death? Patriarch, I have something to say. Just as Longao flew into a rage and was about to continue attacking, Long Ditian finally waved his hand and said with a gloomy expression, "Longao, you have openly challenged the family's punishment. What else do you have to say?" Even if Long Ditian wanted to protect Longao, even if he knew that Longhang was doing it on purpose, in front of so many disciples, he still had to prioritize the interests of the family. No matter what, he was still the patriarch of the family, and his status was there. Clan leader, I've already said earlier that I was only defending myself. However, the great elder still indiscriminately cut off my arms, crippled my cultivation, and expelled me from the clan. I refuse to accept such a punishment. Humph, you're not convinced? Why are you not convinced? Who do you think you are? No one was optimistic about Longao's chances. They believed that Longao was dead for sure. The great elder used his status and position to ignore us. Such a family. Longao did not finish his words, but the meaning behind his words was very clear. Seeing this situation, everyone was even more shocked. Did Longao not want to live anymore? He had openly challenged the great elder. Even if he could survive this time, could he survive a second or third time? Patriarch, this child has openly challenged the family. He deserves to die. Longao, you were wrong in the first place. Long Ditian's words had already expressed his attitude. He cursed in his heart. It was really better to rely on oneself than on others. No matter where he went, he had to lower his head if he did not have the strength. Just like now, if he was a supreme divine Tao or a Nirvana realm warrior, would the Long family still dare to do this? Long Chun stood in the distance. Seeing that Longao was in trouble, Longao wanted to go out and help his friend. However, after thinking about it, he did not go out in the end. Long Chun knew very well that even if he went out, not only would he not be able to help Longao, he might even die. In the end, Long Chun endured it. Great Elder, although Longao is in the wrong, there is a reason for it. If this is the case, the others will not be convinced. Patriarch, what do you mean? Longhang's heart was beating fast. Since things had already come to this point, He did not believe that the patriarch would still protect Longao. If that was the case, he could not ask for more. It's very simple. According to what you said just now, Longao killed a disciple of the family and challenged the family's punishment. He can be exempted from death, but he can't escape punishment. However, his arms will not be cut off, his cultivation will be crippled, and he will be expelled from the family. Long Hang did not speak. Everyone stared at the patriarch. Everyone wanted to know how the patriarch would punish Longao. Longao, tomorrow, you will enter the root of all evil. Hearing the patriarch's punishment for Longao, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air and sighed helplessly. Everyone knew very well what the root of all evil meant. Long Di Tion's figure disappeared. Longao, I hope you can leave the root of all evil alive. Long Hang laughed loudly and disappeared. Longao did not stay any longer. No matter what the root of all evil meant, he knew that he had to accept it for himself and his family. However, Longao had a feeling that Long Di Tian was doing this to help him. Otherwise, Long Di Tian could have agreed with Long Hang. There was no need for him to do this. In the courtyard, Longao, I'm sorry that I didn't appear to help you. Hearing Long Chen's words, Longao smiled and said, Long Chun, you and I are friends. There's no need to say anything. I know your intentions. Now, I just want to ask you, what is the root of all evil that the patriarch mentioned? Long Chun sighed deeply and thought for a moment. Then, he said helplessly, I didn't expect the patriarch to punish you like this. It's 10,000 times more ruthless than the Great Elder. Longao did not say a word. Longao, legend has it that there is a forbidden area in the Long family. It's called the root of all evil. No one knows what's inside, but no matter who enters the root of all evil, they won't be able to come out alive. I see. Longao, what are you going to do now? Enter the root of all evil. Longao had decided that since things had already happened, he would definitely enter the root of all evil. After all, with his current strength, he did not have the qualifications to completely fall out with the Long family. Longao, why don't you leave the Long family? I believe that in the vast sea of people, it won't be easy for the Long family to find you. How could Longao not know what Long Chun said? But could he choose to leave? Long Chin, there are some things that I know I can't do, but I have to take responsibility. If I leave this time, what will happen to my family? So, I've decided that no matter what happens, I will enter Sin City tomorrow and no one will be able to come out. Chapter 1055. The news of Long Ao killing Howlin in the ancestral hall had spread throughout the Long family. Not only that, Long Ao openly went against the Great Elder's punishment and ended up in the source of evil. Such a thing had never happened in the Long family before. Long family, in the main hall. Father, are you really going to let Long Ao enter the source of evil? Long Bo was a little surprised because he never thought that his father would let Long Ao enter the source of evil. The matter was simple. The Great Elder wanted to use Long Ao to deal with his father. If his father did that, wouldn't he have fallen into the Great Elder's trap? Retreat in order to advance. Father, what do you mean? Long Hang has always wanted to replace me, but he couldn't find the opportunity. Now that Long Ao is the breakthrough, if I don't do this, Long Hang will definitely not let go. How could Long Bo not know what his father was talking about? The source of evil was discovered by the old ancestor. After so many years, we haven't been able to find out the secret of the source of evil. Using this opportunity, I want to test Long Ao. What did he mean? Hearing his father's words, Long Bo was curious. He didn't know what his father meant. According to the clairvoyant master, it's fine as long as Long Ao belongs to the family. Since that's the case, even if Long Ao enters the source of evil, he will definitely come out alive. Otherwise, the clairvoyant master's words are wrong. I see. Father, even if that's the case, no matter who enters the source of evil, they will never come out. If Long Ao dies in there, won't it tell everyone that we are afraid of the Great Elder? Long Bo didn't care about Long Ao's life at all. Long Bo only cared about one thing, and that was the battle between his father and the Great Elder. He wanted to know who would win. How could Long Di Tian not know what his son meant? Long Di Tian didn't speak, and Longbow didn't ask any more questions. The main hall fell into silence. In a secret room far away from the main hall, Longhang sneered again and again. This time, he was able to successfully send Longao into the evil source. It could be considered a victory. However, he did not expect that Long Dition would really punish him in such a way. In fact, his punishment was even more severe than his. Guards, keep an eye on Longao. Don't let him leave the Long family. Yes, Grand Elder. Longhang was no fool. Even if Longao did not know where the origin of evil was for the time being, there was only one way if he did not want to die. That was to leave his Long family. This way, he would not have to enter the origin of evil and would be able to save his life. If Longao left the Long family, then he could directly kill him. Longao would never have thought that from the beginning to the end. Longao had never thought of leaving his Long family. Taking a step back. Even if Longao wanted to leave his Long family, it would be a matter of minutes. Not to mention the ordinary disciples, even if Longhang came personally, he might not be able to stop him. The Dragon Seal Space and Spatial Teleportation were Longao's two trump cards. The night was exceptionally quiet. Everyone was looking forward to seeing Longao enter the origin of evil and see if he could come out alive. According to the time set by the Patriarch, as long as Longao could last for 10 days in the origin of evil, then this matter would be written off. 10 days was just a matter of minutes for a martialist. Not to mention 10 days, even a year, or even 10 years, was not a long time for a martialist to cultivate. However, everyone knew that 10 days was like 10,000 years for the origin of evil. The chances of survival were less than 1 in 100,000. 9 continents. The 2 Supreme Tao Warriors of the Long Clan, the Cold-Faced Supreme Tao Warrior and the Lonely Frost Supreme Tao Warrior, led hundreds of disciples of the Long Clan into the Jiuzhou continent. No matter where they were in the Jiuzhou continent, such a powerful force was an invincible super-existence. In other words, this force could destroy any force in the 9 continents in a matter of minutes. Lung Mian and Gu Shuang had been to Longao Peak once before. This was the second time, so they were familiar with the place. The two left the Long family and went to Longao Peak. The reason was simple. They had received the order from the Great Elder to deal with Longao's family. In the eyes of the 2 Supreme Tao martial artists, a small 6th-grade family could be easily destroyed. What should we do now? Lung Mian and Gu Shuang were husband and wife. They had never been separated. This was the real reason why they came to the 9 continents at the same time. The Great Elder has given the order. No matter what happens, we have to deal with Longao Peak. Otherwise, we can't answer to the Great Elder. Longao Peak. Gu Shuang was very unhappy. Until now, she couldn't understand why they had to come to the 9 continents to deal with a small dragon sect. It was like using a sledgehammer to crack a nut. All right, don't be depressed. The Great Elder cares a lot about Longao. If we can deal with Longao Peak, I believe the Great Elder will reward us handsomely. Then, shall we go to Longao Peak now? Yes, but the Martial Artists Alliance has already taken over the 9 continents. We should go to the Martial Artists Alliance first and say hello. Otherwise, it will be bad if there is a misunderstanding. Just like this, Lung Mian and Gu Shuang led their men and headed to the Martial Artists Alliance's territory. Their next destination was Longao Peak. From the beginning to the end, Longao didn't know that Longhang had already sent people to the 9 continents to deal with his family. Otherwise, no matter what happened, Longao would have rushed back. Because in this world, nothing could compare to his family. Longao Peak. Long Haosher stood alone in the hall, looking at the empty hall. Since his grandson left, 10 months had passed in the blink of an eye. He didn't know whether his grandson was still alive or not. Aoer, where are you now? Father, I just received news that the Long family has already sent 2 Divine Realm Warriors to Longao Peak. It seems like they want to deal with us. What should we do? As Longao's father, Long Yi's position in the Dragon Sect was very high. Long family. Although we don't know what happened to Aoer in the Tianwu continent, I can be sure that Aoer and the Long family don't get along well. Otherwise, the Long family wouldn't send 2 Divine Realm Warriors. Long Haosher had already guessed that the Long family sending 2 Divine Realm Warriors was definitely up to no good. If that was the case, things would be very troublesome. We'll deal with it as it comes. No matter what happens, we can't let Aoer worry about us. After a deep sigh, Longi said helplessly, the two divine realm warriors sent by the Long family are Long Mian and Gu Shuang. Chapter 1056. Cold Face, Gu Shuang. Longhao sure was not surprised at all. Long family did not care who they sent. To them, it was all the same. Supreme Dao martial artists. With Dragon Sect's current strength, they could not compete with Supreme Dao martial artists. Father, what should we do now? Longi was also a little dignified. Supreme Dao martial artists, in their eyes, were already a supreme existence. Now that Aoer was not here, and the Supreme Dao martial artists came to invade, was Dragon Sect going to be destroyed? Longhao sure lowered his head and pondered. The entire hall fell into silence. Time passed bit by bit. After an unknown amount of time. Don't tell Aoer about this. How could Longi not know what his father meant? He nodded. The father and son had decided that no matter what happened, they would not inform Aoer. Sky Martial Continent. Long family. A lone courtyard. Sitting quietly under the night sky. Long Ao did not know why, but he suddenly felt his heart tremble, as if something had happened. It was a mess. Standing up, Long Ao's face was full of curiosity, because for so long, such a thing had never happened. A bad premonition arose spontaneously. Young Master Long, what happened to you? A white figure flashed, and Bai Ling's figure appeared under the night sky. Obviously, Bai Ling had begun to like Long Ao, but she was not willing to admit it. No matter what, their identities were different. A person and Jianling could not be together. Xiling did not appear. I don't know. I have a bad feeling, as if something is going to happen, but I don't know what it is. Could it be your family? Dragon Sect? His words woke her up from her dream. Hearing Bai Ling's words, Long Ao's heart moved. Because in this world, other than his family, there seemed to be nothing that could make him like this. This matter was really like what Bai Ling said. Something had happened to his family. Then even if he died, he had to rush back to Dragon Sect. Young Master Long, family is important. He nodded. According to the punishment given to him by the Long family, he had to enter the origin of evil tomorrow. Whether he could come out alive would depend on his luck. Long Ao was also prepared to enter the origin of evil, because he always felt that Long Dtion had other intentions. Without danger, there would be no opportunity. However, in front of the safety of his family, everything was nonsense. Even if he had to completely fall out with his Long family, he had to rush back to the 9 regions. As for entering the evil source tomorrow, it was definitely impossible. Long Ao did not act immediately because he was almost certain that Long Hang would definitely send someone to keep an eye on him under such circumstances. Long Hang would definitely be the first to know if anything happened. No one knew. Long Ao suppressed the uneasiness in his heart as if nothing had happened. He sat quietly under the night sky and looked at the dark sky in front of him. 2 hours later, Long Ao used teleportation and Bai Ling's help to smoothly leave the Long family. Under such circumstances, Long Ao didn't even tell Long Chun. Just like that, he disappeared into the dark night alone. The next day, the sky had just brightened up, but Long Hang couldn't wait any longer. He sent someone to the courtyard to bring Long Ao into the origin of evil. When the person entered the courtyard, he saw that it was empty. As for Long Ao, he had already disappeared. There was no need to guess what had happened. Everyone knew very well. Long Ao ran away? The news that Long Ao had left the Long family instantly spread throughout the Long family. No one was surprised when they heard the news. It was as if everyone had already guessed it. Only a fool wouldn't run when he knew that he was going to die. Everyone knew what kind of place the origin of evil was. Long Ao would definitely die if he entered the origin of evil. Not to mention Long Ao. No matter who it was, they would definitely do the same. No one looked down on Long Ao. On the contrary, when Long Ao left the Long family, many people praised Long Ao's rationality. At the very least, he had saved his life. Long family might be strong, but it was extremely difficult to find a person in the vast sky martial continent. Long family. Inside the main hall, Long Dtion, who had also received the news, sat at the head of the main hall. His face was extremely gloomy. He had never thought that Longao would suddenly leave the Long family. Wasn't this playing with him? Longao, you have disappointed me. Patriarch, Longao left the family without permission. It's obvious that he doesn't want to enter the origin of evil. Such a person should be immediately expelled from the family and killed. Longhang sneered in his heart. He didn't care whether Longao left or not. He only cared about one thing, and that was to see Long Tian lose the hearts of the people. Only then could he replace him and become the Long family's patriarch. Before Long Tian could make a decision. At this time, Long Chun suddenly walked in and knelt on the ground. He bowed respectfully and said, Patriarch, Great Elder, I just went to Longao's residence and found this letter. Patriarch, please take a look. Letter? Looking at the letter in Long Chin's hands, the Great Elder cursed in his heart. However, since things had already reached this point, he could only endure it. He thought that he had miscalculated and actually did not find this letter. If he had destroyed it earlier, he believed that Longao would not have the slightest bit of leeway. However, no one knew what was written in Longao's letter. This time, Longao was taking a risk because no one knew who would get the letter. What if it fell into Longhang's hands? However, Longao was very clear in his heart that once Longhang found out that he was not around, he would definitely find trouble with the patriarch. And if Long Chin knew that he had disappeared, he would definitely come to take a look. This letter would definitely fall into Long Tian's hands. After receiving the letter, Long Tian only needed to glance at it to understand what had happened. Patriarch, where is Longao? Longao has already explained in the letter that he left because of an urgent matter. In 3 months, he will rush back as fast as he can. Of course, Longhang did not believe it. As for the others, they also did not believe it. Longao was clearly afraid of entering the evil spring, but now he said that he had an urgent matter. Who would believe it? Patriarch, Longao is clearly afraid of death, so he left the family. If we don't execute such a person, how can we convince the masses? I suggest that we directly kill him without mercy. Regardless of whether Longao was telling the truth or not, Longhang treated it as a lie, because only by doing so could he kill Longao and indirectly deal with Long Tian. How could Long Tian not know what Longhang was thinking? It was precisely because of this that Longhang wanted Longao to die, but he wanted Longao not to die. This concerned who would win and who would lose. Therefore, Long Tian would not give in at all. He said, I believe in Longao. If Longao is unable to rush back in 3 months, not only him, but even the dragon sect will be destroyed. Chapter 1057. Dragon Sect. Under normal circumstances, the Long family would not allow their disciples to establish another sect. However, Long Tian and the others did not put the dragon sect in their eyes. Furthermore, the Long family had not placed their attention on the dragon sect yet. Since Long Tian had said so, even Longhang had to accept it. In Longhang's opinion, Longao had left the family out of fear of death. Would Longao dare to return after 3 months? Since that was the case, so what if he waited for 3 more months? At that time, he wanted to see how Long Tian would deal with it. At the border between the Tianwu continent and the Jiuzhou continent, the uneasiness in Longao's heart grew stronger and stronger, as if something would happen at any time. No matter what, he had to rush back to the dragon sect in the Jiuzhou continent as soon as possible. With his speed, even if he returned smoothly, it would be too late. The only way now was to use the space-time wheel to forcefully open a space-time tunnel. Only then could he return to the dragon sect in the shortest time possible. In the current situation, he could not afford to waste even a minute. Nothing must happen. Longao prayed silently in his heart, hoping that nothing would happen to his family. Otherwise, he would never be able to get past himself. Jiuzhou continent. Outside the Longao peak, Lung Mian and Gu Shuang led hundreds of disciples to the Longao peak, preparing to slaughter the entire dragon sect. The dragon sect was protected by a formation, but without Longao personally presiding over the formation, its power could not be at its peak. It would not be easy to block the attacks of 2 supreme Dao warriors. I heard that there is a powerful formation protecting the Longao Peak. If we act rashly, I'm afraid we will be at a disadvantage. Humph, it's just a small dragon sect. Even if there is a formation protecting it, what can it do? Longmian did not put Longao Peak in his eyes from the beginning. Otherwise, he would have found a formation expert to come. In Longmian's opinion, with Longao's strength, even if he could set up a few formations, he would only be able to cause havoc in the Jojo continent. It was simply a dream to fight against them. Then what should we do now? Let's kill them. Within Longao Peak, Long Haosher and Long Yi were clearly aware that Longmian and Gu Shuang had come to kill them. As the highest person in charge of the dragon sect, the father and son pair had a very serious expression. After all, the two who came this time were Supreme Tao warriors. As for dragon sect, the strongest warriors were Long Haosher and the Fire Qilin, but they were only in the Great Emperor realm. The gap between them and the Supreme Tao warriors was too great. They were not even worthy of being a Supreme Tao warrior's appetizer. Father, the two Supreme Tao warriors are just in front of Longao Peak. They might attack at any time. Should we activate the array now? Given the current situation, there was only one way out, and that was to activate the formation. Perhaps it would be able to hold on for a while. Long Haosher waved his hand and said helplessly, "It's no use. When Aoer left, he already told me that the array is unable to withstand the attack of a Supreme Tao warrior. It seems that we are in big trouble this time." How could Long Yi not know what his father had said? If that was the case, could it be that he was just going to wait for death? He was unwilling to accept this. So what if he was unwilling? We don't even have the chance to move. This time, I hope that we can get through this. Come, follow me to meet my two old friends. Long Yi nodded. Then, the father and son left the main hall and walked out of Longao Peak. When Long Haosher and Long Yi came out, the father and son were surprised. Most of them were upset because at this moment, Longao Peak was filled with people. They were all disciples of Dragon Sect and Long family. What are you doing? We swear to live and die with Dragon Sect. Their voices resounded through the heavens and earth. Looking at the dense crowd in front of them, Long Haosher and Long Yi were moved. Things had already come to this point. What else could they do? Seniors, may I know why you have come to my Dragon Sect this time? Longmian and Gu Shuang did not put Long Haosher in their eyes. After all, Long Haosher had not refined the Supreme Tao inheritance. He was just a great Emperor Realm warrior. It would be a piece of cake for such an existence to destroy him. He sneered. Long Haosher, Long Ao dares to provoke the Great Elder. He is already dead. However, the two of you will have to accompany him. Aoer was dead? Hearing the other party's words, everyone was shocked. No one believed it because Long Ao was already a legend in the Dragon Sect. How could such an existence fall so easily? Great Elder? Long Haosher and Long Yi naturally knew who the first elder Longmian and Gu Shuang were referring to was. The Long clan's first elder, Long Heng. Not to mention the Tianwu continent, even in the Jojo continent, he was an illustrious existence. Long family's great elder Long Heng, whether it was in terms of status or position, was there. The two of them could not understand why Aoer would provoke the great elder for no reason. Seniors, if you do this, how can Long family convince the masses? Ha ha, ha ha. Hearing those words, Long Mian began to madly laugh. His laughter was filled with arrogance and insufferably arrogance. In their eyes, the people before them were merely ants. Long Haosher, I'll give your Dragon Sect a chance. Kill yourselves, and I'll leave your corpses intact. They had to admit that Long Mian was very arrogant. However, everyone knew that Long Mian had the capital to be arrogant. After all, other than the two Supreme Tao warriors, the remaining 100 or so people were all great Emperor Realm warriors. Such an existence could indeed sweep across the entire Jojo continent. You're not willing? Willing my ass. Long Yi was completely enraged. A soldier could be killed but not humiliated. At worst, he would die. Hearing these words, Long Mian did not show the slightest anger. Instead, he sneered very calmly. Kill them all. Don't leave a single one alive. Long Mian and Gu Shuang had already decided to slaughter the entire Dragon Sect. More than 100 great emperors were moving towards the dragon sect like killing machines. Lung Mian and Gu Shuang were smiling coldly. In the eyes of the dragon clan, the people of the dragon sect were just sheep waiting to be slaughtered. Activate the formation. Long Haosher would not compromise. Although he knew that he would die in the end, he would not let them off so easily. Even if the formation could not kill them, it could at least bring them a lot of trouble. Longao Peak had a total of 10 arrays that were linked together. Even if Longao did not personally oversee the arrays, at least after the arrays were activated, the power of the arrays was definitely not to be underestimated. Over 100 sovereigns rushed into Longao Peak. Both sides disappeared without a trace. This was the formation. As expected, Longao Peak is indeed protected by a formation. What should we do now? Ha ha ha. I don't believe that a few small formations can stop our great army. Today, I must slaughter the entire dragon sect. P.S. Today's 9 chapters have all been delivered. I hope that everyone can count the votes. If you have the ability, please give me some tips. It doesn't matter how much it is. It can be considered as Xiaojia's motivation. Chapter 1058. They were determined to slaughter the dragon sect. Longao Peak. 10 formations were activated at the same time, and they were all linked together. Their power was extremely terrifying. More than 100 great emperors joined forces and attacked the same spot at the same time, slamming heavily onto the 10 great arrays. Although none of the 100 people were array masters, they knew that if they wanted to break the array, they could only use the stupidest method, and that was to use a powerful force to attack a point. Just as they had guessed. Before Longao left, he was afraid that someone would come and cause trouble. Hence, he set up 10 formations that were all connected. Even if one attacked one point, the 10 formations would be activated at the same time. It would not be easy to break them. If it was a single formation, it would have been broken long ago. Long Haosher, Wang Yidao, and Mu Wanfeng. They were the most senior people in the dragon sect. At this moment, the 3 of them looked solemn as they looked at everyone in front of them. The entire dragon sect fell into silence. Not only were there more than 100 great emperors attacking the formation, but there were also 2 supreme Dao martial artists eyeing them. Longao Peak could be attacked at any time. By then, how many people in the dragon sect would be able to escape? Long Ying. Grandfather, I'm here. Long Ying was now a great emperor. However, it was not easy for him to refine the supreme Dao inheritance and become a supreme Dao martial artist. According to Longao's previous calculation, it was only a matter of time before the dragon sect and the Long clan fell out. If the dragon sect had enough time and waited for more than 1,000 people to refine the supreme Dao inheritance, the dragon sect would have more than 1,000 supreme Dao warriors. At that time, even the Long clan wouldn't be able to do anything they wanted. Long Ying. The future of the dragon sect is in your hands. Long Ying was not a fool. Of course, he understood what his grandfather meant. However, before he could speak, Long Haosher continued. The dragon sect will not be able to escape today. However, the dragon sect will not be destroyed. Long Haosher looked at everyone in front of him and said solemnly, other than the outstanding disciples of the 3 families, all of you will leave. Remember, before you refine the inheritance, you are not allowed to show yourself. As expected. Grandfather, I swear to live and die with the dragon sect. We swear to live and die with the dragon sect. His voice reverberated throughout the entire Longao Peak. With such clansmen and disciples, why should he die with any regrets? However, Long Haosher knew very well that he could die. Many people could die, but the dragon sect could not be destroyed. That was why he had made this decision. Long Ying, listen to my orders. Take them and leave. Long Haosher, don't blame me. Since the conversation had already reached this point, Long Haosher did not continue to talk nonsense. Everyone did not talk nonsense. They would not choose to give up even if they had to fight to the death. They would kill as many as they could. Killing even one would be worth it. Humph, they deserve to die. A bunch of ants. Kill them. Hearing the order, more than 100 great emperors rushed forward. As for Fire Qilin, he stood at the back with a cold smile. As for why, Fire Qilin did not say anything. Perhaps he was the only one who knew. There were more than 100 great Emperor Realm warriors. Not to mention the power, just the aura alone was extremely terrifying. Everyone was suppressed before they could even resist. Even Longao was suppressed by the divine Dao aura of the two supreme Dao warriors and was also unable to move. A lamb waiting to be slaughtered would definitely die. Unwillingness. Everyone's eyes were filled with unwillingness. But what could they do? Ha ha ha, Longao, your dragon sect will be finished today. When all of you go to hell, you must remember that I am the one who massacred your dragon sect. Ha ha ha, Longao, aren't you very arrogant? I will massacre your dragon sect now. Let's see what you can do. Longao was not around. Longmian seemed to be talking to the air. Massacring my dragon sect? You? At this moment, a mocking voice sounded. P.S. The first chapter has been delivered today. Little 9 is going to sleep first. I will continue the update tomorrow. Please vote. Hee, give me some tips. Little 9 is being shameless again. Chapter 1059. Mockery. Thunder rumbled and a storm raged. Above the 9 heavens. Just a moment ago, the sky was still clear, but in an instant, it was covered with dark clouds. Large black clouds gathered above Longao Peak, and the sound of thunder kept ringing. What the hell happened? Longao? Hearing the voice from the 9 heavens, Longmian and Gu Shuang could not believe it. It was not that they were afraid of Longao, but they could not believe that Longao, who had a long family in Tianwu continent, would suddenly appear here. Longao. Hearing Longmian's voice, everyone in Dragon Sect was surprised. Even Longao smiled. Although they did not know if Longao was a match for the two supreme Dao warriors and hundreds of martial emperors, everyone in Dragon Sect trusted Longao as if he was a god. Longao, since you're here, why are you being so sneaky? Come out. Even if Longao was here, Longmian and Gu Shuang were not afraid at all. The two of them had decided to take advantage of this opportunity to kill Longao while slaughtering Dragon Sect. That way, when they returned to their families, they would be able to claim credit from the Great Elder. Killing 2 birds with 1 stone was the best of both worlds. Everyone in Dragon Sect, Longmian and Gu Shuang stared at the 9 heavens. Crack. A huge lightning bolt struck down. Looking from afar, the lightning bolt connected the heavens and earth. How many people had seen such a scene before? Shocking. At this moment, a shocking scene appeared. Everyone's mouth was agape as they looked at the 9 heavens. It was as if they had seen a ghost in broad daylight. A hole was forcefully torn open in the 9 heaven space. A figure walked out from the spatial crack. Longao, who was dressed in black and had long red hair, descended like a god of war. Everyone who looked at him was intoxicated. Longmian, Gu Shuang, I want to see how you're going to slaughter my dragon sect. Longao stood in the air and looked down at the crowd coldly. Looking down on the earth, who else but me? It was as if no one dared to fight with me. The more Longao acted like this, the more Coldface and Lone Frost felt uncertain. They did not know what Longao was up to. Longao, don't play tricks here. So what if I slaughter your dragon sect? He thought for a moment. In the end, Longmian still didn't put Longao in his eyes. No matter how strong Longmian was, he was still a great Emperor Realm cultivator. 1 against 100, Longao was trash. No one in the dragon sect said anything. Without exception, everyone chose to believe in Longao. In the 9 heavens, Longao stood in the air. Thunder rumbled around him and dark clouds covered the sky. At first glance, Longao looked extremely terrifying, as if he had come from hell. Since you are so stubborn, then take my sword. Without giving Coldface and Lone Frost a chance to speak, Longao said, catch it, and I will let you go. Otherwise, you will all stay here. Ha ha ha, ha ha ha, ha 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 ha. Hearing Longao's arrogant words, be it Coldface or Lone Frost, or the hundreds of great Emperor Realm cultivators, all of them burst out laughing maniacally. It was as though they had just heard the funniest joke in the world. Longao, I shall see how strong your sword is today. Longao ignored Coldface and Lone Frost's disdain and mockery. At this moment, Longao was clearly different. Under normal circumstances, Longao couldn't possibly be this strong. Even if he could reach the dragon sect with the help of the time and space wheel, he would have to pay a price. But now, Longao acted as though nothing had happened. The god-slaying sword appeared in Longao's hands. Borrowing the power of the heaven and earth and the power of thunder, Longao slashed out without any warning. This was Longao's strongest sword. At the same time as the roar of the dragon, thunder and lightning boomed out. Once an expert made a move, one would know whether or not he was an expert. Lungmian and Gu Shuang never thought that Longao's strength would be so strong. How was this the great emperor realm? It was clearly the strength of a supreme Tao warrior. If they did not see it with their own eyes, they would never believe it even if they were beaten to death. They didn't dare to hesitate. Under such circumstances, the two of them didn't even have the confidence to make a move. They turned around and left quickly. Coldface and Lone Frost knew that with the strength of their opponent's sword chi, they would only die if they moved at normal speed. There was nothing he could do. Coldface and Lone Frost could only choose to self-destruct their bloodline. In an instant, the two of them disappeared without a trace. A shocking sword. Longao's sword slashed out with sword chi that was tens of thousands of feet long. It connected the heaven and earth, and it was as though the heaven and earth were being torn apart. The sword chi slashed across. Without any fluctuation of aura, the hundreds of great Emperor Realm cultivators were engulfed by the sword chi. Everyone in the sword sect was dumbfounded as they watched the scene unfold. Until now, no one dared to believe that the god in their hearts had become so strong. The sword chi disappeared, and so did the thunder. The thunderclouds disappeared as well. Everything returned to normal. Plop. After successfully annihilating more than 100 great emperors, Longao could no longer hold on. He staggered and directly fell from the ninth heaven. If it weren't for Longhausher's sharp eyes and quick hands, Longao would have been smashed into pieces just by falling from the ninth heaven. Aoer, how are you? Longao struggled to open his eyes. He endured the pain that came from his body. He felt that his organs had shifted and he could die at any moment. Grandfather, seal off the news of my injuries. No matter who it is, don't leak it out. Find me a quiet place and don't let anyone disturb me. Longao fainted right after he finished speaking. Everyone was dumbfounded. No one knew what had happened. Longao, who was like a god of war, had suddenly fainted. They were all worried. A white figure flashed and Bai Ling appeared beside Longao. She said, "All of you, don't disturb young Master Long. Find me a quiet place." Longhausher and the others were already panicking. They nodded and didn't dare to hesitate. Longhausher immediately ordered that no one was to get close to Longao, not even Long Yi and his wife. He also found a quiet place for Bai Ling and Longao. Even Longhausher himself didn't dare to get close to his grandson. Everyone was very worried about Longao's safety. However, Longhausher still sealed off the news in time. How could Longhausher not know what his grandson meant? Longao had killed hundreds of great Emperor Realm cultivators and scared away 2 Divine Realm cultivators with a single strike. That was enough to shock everyone. However, if others knew that Longao was seriously injured and his life was uncertain, the consequences would be unimaginable. Someone would definitely take advantage of the situation. At that time, whether it was Longao or the Dragon Sect, there would be endless trouble. Chapter 1060. Juzhou Continent. At this moment, everyone in the Juzhou Continent was talking about the Dragon Sect and the Long family. Longao had killed more than 100 great emperors with one sword and scared away 2 supreme Tao warriors. Everyone sighed. No one knew when the master of the Dragon Sect, Longao, had become so powerful. Would the Long family let the matter rest after this defeat? Everyone broke out in cold sweat for the Dragon Sect because even if Longao's strength was strong, it would not be an easy task to contend against the Long clan. Dragon Sect. Everyone was anxious because 3 days had passed, and there was still no news about Longao. Father, Mu Lin wants to go in and take a look. As Longao's mother, Mu Lin was worried to the extreme. No one was a fool. They did not understand the situation before, But after 3 days, everyone understood what had happened. If there were no accidents, with Longao's current strength, it was impossible for him to kill 2 supreme Tao warriors and hundreds of great emperors. However, Longao did it. What was the reason? Although no one could guess the reason, they knew that Longao must have paid a high price for doing so. Because of this, everyone was even more worried. "Father, I beg you. I want to see Longao." Looking at his son and daughter-in-law in front of him, Long Haosher sighed deeply. How could he not be worried about his grandson's safety? But could he go? No matter who it is, don't go near Longao. Mu Lin's tears slowly flowed down. Long could only sigh. Back mountain of Longao Peak. In a very secluded courtyard, the surrounding environment was beautiful. "Sister, I beg you. Please save young Master Long." Looking at Longao, who was lying on a huge rock, Bai Ling was very worried. After 3 days of treatment, Longao did not get better. Instead, his breath was getting weaker and weaker, as if he would disappear at any time. Bai Ling didn't want to admit it in her heart, but she was very clear that Longao's chances of survival were too small. "Sister, do you know what Longao did this time?" Bai Ling nodded. How could she not know what Longao had done? It turned out that, according to Longao's true strength, it would be extremely difficult for him to even fight against a white-grade great emperor, let alone kill a supreme Tao martial artist. The dragon sect was on the brink of destruction. Besieged by 2 supreme Tao warriors and 100 great emperor warriors, it could be destroyed at any time. With the help of the space-time wheel, Longao managed to return in time. However, the backlash from the space-time wheel was no small matter. If it weren't for Xiling and Bai Ling's help, Longao wouldn't have been able to return to the dragon sect. He might even have been killed by the space-time rift. Even so, Longao's return to the dragon sect would be akin to sending him to his death. In desperation, Longao could only rely on the 2 Jianling and Long Fu's strength to forcefully use the 9 Needles Sealing God to raise his cultivation to the supreme Tao realm. In this way, not to mention killing 100 great emperor warriors, even killing Long Mian and Gu Shuang would be a piece of cake. 9 Needles Sealing God, coupled with the space-time wheel, Longao's backlash could be imagined. If it weren't for the protection of the Saint of Desolation body, Longao would have died. The 9 Needles Sealing God was very powerful. It could forcefully raise one's strength in the shortest amount of time. However, the backlash of the 9 Needles Sealing God was also very terrifying. It could even be life-threatening. Because of this, Longao would never use the 9 Needles Sealing God unless it was a last resort. The dragon sect was in danger. If he was careless, it would be destroyed. For the family, Longao would give it a try, regardless of whether it was a mountain of swords or a sea of flames. Even though he knew the consequences, he still resolutely chose to use the 9 Needles Sealing God and the space-time wheel. "Sister, with the strength of both of us, can we?" "No." Before Bai Ling could finish her sentence, Xiling had already spoken. The backlash was so powerful. It was obvious what the outcome would be. Bai Ling would definitely not choose to give up so easily. Not to mention Bai Ling's kindness, Bai Ling liked Longao. He believed that she would not give up. "You've been in Longao's body for so long. Isn't it time to come out and meet him?" Hearing Xiling's words, Bai Ling was not surprised at all. It was as if she already knew what was going to happen. As soon as Xiling finished speaking, Long Fu's figure appeared. "You're also an artifact spirit?" "That's right. We'll talk about our matters later. The most important thing now is to see how we can help Master." "Master?" Xiling and Bai Ling were very surprised at the identity of the artifact spirit in front of them. This was because they could clearly sense that the artifact spirit was very powerful. Such a powerful artifact spirit actually called Longao his master. Their identities were clear at a glance. "I believe that you're already aware of Longao's situation. Tell me, what should we do now?" Looking at his master in front of him, Long Fu's expression was extremely solemn. He had already stopped his people from using the 9 divine needles and the space-time wheel at the same time. This kind of backlash was not something that his master could withstand. Although he had stopped him, it was useless. "I believe that both of you know what the supreme artifact, the space-time wheel, means. Also, Master has forcefully used the 9 divine needles. It's almost impossible to recover. There's only one way now, but I need both of your help. No problem. Bai Ling was really anxious. She hated that they could not start immediately. Xiling did not hesitate and agreed as well. What should we do? Shatter the Dantian and break out of the cocoon to be reborn. Damn. Both Xiling and Bai Ling were shocked when they heard the artifact spirit's words. How could they not know what the artifact spirit meant? If they really did that, the consequences would be unimaginable. I believe that you know what the Dantian means to a warrior. Shatter the Dantian and break out of the cocoon to be reborn. Unless Longao's cultivation can break through the Nirvana realm, Longao will definitely die if he forcefully does so. Xiling spoke with absolute certainty. Anyone would know about this. Since the artifact spirit was so powerful, it was impossible that it did not know about this. If that was the case, could it be that this artifact spirit had ulterior motives? Master's injuries are very serious. It can be said that he has a slim chance of survival. If we were in our peak condition, it shouldn't be a problem for us to help Master recover. But now, we haven't recovered to our peak condition. Other than this, I really can't think of any other way to help Master. That was indeed the case. Xiling and Bai Ling also had no other way. Both of their expressions were extremely solemn. For a moment, the courtyard became extremely silent. The 3 artifact spirits did not speak. They all looked at Longao in front of them. Should they choose to do this? P.S. Tomorrow is the 1st, which is Monday. We'll have a little outburst starting from midnight. I hope that everyone will vote and strive to rush to the top. The higher the ranking, the more motivated little 9 will be. Chapter 1061. Shatter the Dantian and be reborn. It was very dangerous, and there was only a 50% chance. In the end, Xiling and Bai Ling also chose to agree with this method. According to Long Fu, Longao had already achieved some success on the path of the sword. Therefore, the best way was to let Xiling or Bai Ling use the origin sword chi to forcefully break open Longao's Dantian, using the sword chi to reform the Dantian. If others knew what the 3 of them were doing, they would be scared to death. Shattering the Dantian, reforming it, and then breaking out of the cocoon to be reborn. Such an action was simply too crazy. Xiling and Bai Ling looked at each other. Their thoughts were very simple, which was who should do it. The 2 Jinling knew very well that if they failed to forcefully break open the Dantian, Longao would definitely die. Sister, you do it. Bai Ling was not stupid. Of course, she knew that her sister's strength and control were far above hers. Her sister had a greater chance of success by forcefully shattering the Dantian. How could Violet's spirit not understand her sister's intentions? Nodding, she agreed. Coming in front of Longao, Xiling did not hesitate at all. She turned into a ball of purple flowing light and instantly entered Longao's body. In Longao's Dantian, the dragon seal space had disappeared. Xiling seemed a little dignified. This was the first time she had done something like this. Whether it would succeed was still unknown. She hoped that it would go smoothly. Longao, shattering the Dantian and being reborn. Although it is very dangerous and may even be fatal, once you succeed, you will have unimaginable benefits. I hope you will work hard. After saying this, Xiling did not continue. The origin sword chi, also known as the original sword chi, Xiling was going to use the most powerful one to break open the Dantian in one go. Because in this way, Longao's chances of successfully reforming the Dantian would be greater. She took a deep breath. All of a sudden, Xiling suddenly turned into a purple sword chi and released a terrifying sword chi. If Morong Guena was here and felt the terror of this sword chi, he would be shocked speechless. The sword chi hit the Dantian. Longao did not have any reaction. His Dantian was at its weakest state. Moreover, it was Xiling's most powerful sword. With this sword strike, Longao, who had been unconscious, suddenly trembled. Following that, his Dantian shattered and disappeared without a trace. Xiling left the Dantian and appeared in the courtyard. Sister, let's help him help Longao's Dantian. Bai Ling obviously knew the seriousness of the matter and did not dare to be the slightest bit careless. She nodded and prepared to help Longao reassemble his dantian. Long Fu, on the other hand, retreated to the side and waited anxiously, hoping that its master could successfully reform his dantian. But at this moment, Longao, who had just been forced into his dantian and was shaking violently, a blood-red chi shield appeared on the surface of his body. It was as if he was wrapped in blood. Ziling and Bailing, who originally wanted to help him reassemble his dantian, were forcefully repelled by the blood-red chi shield. Huh, what on earth happened? Ziling, Bailing, and Long Fu were dumbfounded. They did not know what happened to Longao. Why would a blood-red shield appear out of nowhere? It was too strange. The blood-red shield was extremely strong. Even Ziling and Bailing could not get close to it. Under normal circumstances, Longao's dantian was forcefully shattered, and he would be considered dead. However, Ziling and Bailing were powerful Jianling. If they helped Longao to reform his dantian in time, they would have a 50% chance of survival. But now? Master's bloodline. Bloodline? Ziling and Bailing were also curious about Longao's bloodline. As powerful Jianling, they certainly knew that Longao's bloodline was very unusual. But even so, what was the connection between the bloodline and the dantian? Moreover, Longao's bloodline had been sealed. What was going on now? Longao's bloodline has been sealed. But now, the shield is so strong that we can't get close to it. According to Longao's situation, if we delay any longer, he won't be able to reform his dantian. Only death awaits him. Hearing this, Bailing almost fainted. Originally, they had a 50% chance. But now that the shield had appeared, there was no chance at all. The most important thing to reform his dantian was time. Long Fu did not speak. He stood there quietly. Even he did not expect this to happen. He did not know what was going on and did not know what to do. Quick, think of something. Bailing was very anxious. But things had already come to this point. What else could they do? On the giant rock, Longao lay there quietly as if he was dead. He did not move at all. His whole body was covered by the shield, emitting an extremely strong smell of blood. In Longao's body, the dantian that had just been shattered had already been completely occupied by his blood. Under normal circumstances, once the dantian was shattered, he would definitely die. Not to mention Longao, even if it was the heavenly Tao, if the dantian was shattered, he would also die. In the mysterious space, it was chaos. Longao stood quietly in the space. Looking at the gray haze all around, he was very curious. He didn't know where he was. Longao, your dantian is finally shattered. Now, I will use the power of chaos to help you reform your dantian. I hope you can speed up your cultivation. Chaotic dantian? What is this? Who is talking to me? Who are you? Who I am is not important. What is important is who you are. Longao, I look forward to your growth. There are many things that you have to do. Before Longao could continue asking, he found that he could not speak. He slowly opened his eyes and looked at the three people in front of him. He asked curiously, "What are you guys doing?" Seeing Longao suddenly open his eyes, the three of them were shocked. They looked as if they had seen him before. "Young Master Long, are you okay?" Walking down from the giant rock, Longao stretched his body and said with a smile, "Of course I'm fine. Thank you for helping me break open my dantian." Until now, Longao did not know what had happened. Why would his shattered dantian be reformed for no reason? The other party seemed to have said something about a chaotic dantian. He did not know if a chaotic dantian was powerful or not. The three of them originally wanted to ask what had happened, but Longao obviously did not want to say. The three of them were also very tactful, and no one opened their mouths to ask. Long Fu returned to the dragon seal and re-entered the dantian. At this moment, the chaotic dantian that Longao had reassembled was no different from the previous dantian. Even Long Fu did not seem to have discovered the difference. Longao, Ziling, thank you for this time, but I have no comment. Ziling snorted and did not stay any longer. He returned to the Godslayer sword. Only Longao and Bai Ling were left in the courtyard. Chapter 1062. Young Master Long, are you really all right? Bai Ling was still a little worried. No matter what, she knew very well what it meant to have his dantian shattered. Not to mention Longao. Even Tian Dao or other super experts would definitely die if their dantian was shattered. Just now, she and her sister were prepared to use the powerful sword chi to help Longao reform his dantian. In the end, they never expected that Longao would not only recover, but also reform his dantian. What was going on? Even Bai Ling was very curious. She wanted to know how Longao did it. How could Longao not know what Bai Ling was thinking? Even Long Fu and Xiling would not be able to hear the voice transmissions through spiritual awareness. Bai Ling, is there any way that we can be alone without your sister and Long Fu being able to hear or see us? She was very curious. She did not know what Longao wanted. However, Bai Ling trusted Longao very much. She lowered her head and thought for a moment. Then, she nodded and said through spiritual awareness, "Yes, don't resist." Before Longao could react, he was already enveloped by a white sword chi. His body disappeared from where he was. In a mysterious white sword chi space. Young Master Long, this is my original sword chi space. Whether it's my sister or that person, they will not be able to see or hear us. What a powerful sword chi space. Bai Ling would not usually reveal her strength. However, Longao knew very well that Bai Ling's strength was very terrifying. Even Long Ditian and the others might not be able to fight against Bai Ling. However, Bai Ling was severely injured and could not recover to her peak strength. Bai Ling, when you and your sister were helping me reform my dantian, I suddenly entered a mysterious space for some reason. Someone said a few words that I did not understand. Then, my dantian reformed. Young Master Long, tell me in detail. It was strange. Longao did not intend to tell Long Fu or Xiling about this. Among the three of them, he only chose Bai Ling Long Fu. Longao knew very well that if Long Fu and the primordial divine dragon were to be reborn, it was unknown who Long Fu would choose. Moreover, although Long Fu treated him as his master, if he was useless, would Long Fu still treat him like that? Without a doubt, Long Fu would choose to give up on him and look for his next target. Regarding this point, Longao was very uncomfortable. That was indeed the case. Longao had decided that there were some things that should be hidden. He had to change this point. A master was a master, and Long Fu had to obey. However, it was not an easy thing to do. Longao did not hide anything and told her everything that had happened. He did not even hide the fact that he had just formed his chaotic dantian. After hearing this, Bai Ling's face was filled with shock. Young Master Long, although I have never seen your chaotic dantian, I can tell you that your chaotic dantian is probably the most powerful one in the world. Longao seemed to have guessed this point. He did not want to know this. As for the mysterious person who spoke to young Master Long, I don't know. However, he should be a very powerful person. Young Master Long, you must make good use of your chaotic dantian. It can refine everything and increase your cultivation speed by more than 10 times. He sighed deeply. It was a waste of time to ask. He still did not know who the mysterious person was. Young Master Long, I know you really want to know what's going on, but I want to say something. What can you do even if you know now? It's better to cultivate peacefully. When you're strong enough, some things will naturally become clear. What do you think? You are right. Bai Ling, I hope that this matter will not be leaked out. Although she did not know what Longao meant, Bai Ling still nodded and agreed. The two left the origin sword chi space. Immediately, Bai Ling turned into white light and returned to the god-slaying sword. Master. The corner of his mouth slowly curled into a cold smile. In response to Longao's call, Longao entered the dragon seal space and asked straightforwardly, Long Fu, what happened? At this moment, Long Fu did not seem to have any problems. Master, I want to ask you, how did you form your dantian? Just as expected. The more Long Fu acted like this, the more cautious Longao was. Because no one knew when Long Fu would leave or find the next master. The current Longao was no longer the Longao of the past. Of course, Longao would not tell the truth. He just casually found an excuse to dodge the matter. From the beginning to the end, Long Fu did not have the slightest suspicion. Because all along, Long Fu thought that he had completely grasped Long Ao and called him master. Did Long Fu really treat Long Ao as his master? From one point alone, if Long Fu really treated Long Ao as his master, then he would not call him old master. After all, he only had one master, and that was Long Ao. Long Fu, do you have a way to raise my cultivation to the Black Grade Great Emperor realm at the fastest speed? Although the Purple Grade Great Emperor realm and the Black Grade Great Emperor realm were only one level apart, the strength of the two could not be compared. Long Ao was very anxious, especially when his family was in danger. If he did not rush back in time and use the 9 needles of God sealing and the space-time wheel, his family would have been annihilated. The consequences would be unimaginable. Because of this, Long Ao really needed strength, no matter what method he had to use. Master, it's still the same. If you want to raise your strength quickly, you can only rely on your desolate saint physique to continuously absorb energy. However, if you do this, there will be a day when you will explode. Long Fu did not finish his words, but the meaning of his words was very clear. Long Ao did not continue asking. After leaving the dragon seal space, Long Ao did not go out. Instead, he called his grandfather and father over. Aoer, are you all right? Shaking his head, Long Ao said with a smile, I'm fine. It was just an accident. Seeing how Aoer played it down, both Long Haosher and Long Yi knew very well that Aoer must have something that he did not want to tell them. Since Aoer did not want to say more, the two of them did not ask further. Aoer's situation was different now. Some things should be asked, and some things should not be asked. Grandfather, I have something to ask you. I hope you can answer me truthfully. Seeing how serious Aoer was, Long Haosher and Long Yi were very surprised. Long Haosher nodded and said, As long as I know, I will not hide it from you. Aoer, what happened? Chapter 1063. The Mystery of His Birth. This time, Long Ao had survived a great calamity. He would definitely figure out who sealed the bloodline in his body. For some reason, Long Ao felt that something was amiss. A few years ago, he was just a trash from the Red Fire Town's Long family. No one cared about him. Who would be so bored as to come and seal the bloodline in his body? Not to mention, the other party was a super expert who had stepped onto the peak of martial arts. Grandpa, the bloodline in my body has been sealed. Long Haosher and Long Yi didn't seem to have reacted. Both of them were at a loss. They didn't know what Long Ao meant. Long Ao did not hide the slightest bit and spoke about the matter of the bloodline being sealed in full detail. After hearing it, Long Haosher and Long Yi were both shocked. A peak martial Dao expert sealed his bloodline? Aoer, what do you mean? Grandpa, there are only 2 people who have reached the peak of the martial Dao. One is Tian Dao, and the other is the clairvoyant. It was impossible for Tian Dao. As for the clairvoyant, Long Fu had already said that it was not him. Since there were not 2 people, he could not think of who sealed his bloodline. Grandpa, it's impossible for Tian Dao and the clairvoyant. The secret is in the family, so I want to ask about the family. Long Haosher nodded. How could he not understand the meaning behind Aoer's words? He felt helpless. Long Haosher did not know what had happened. As for the family's secret, that was all he knew. Even so, he did not know who sealed Aoer's bloodline. Long Haosher and Long Yi did not say anything. They looked at each other and saw a trace of helplessness and surprise in each other's eyes. Grandpa did not know. Father must not know either. Long Ao was very clear that in the family, there were only 2 people who were most likely to know the inside story. If they didn't know, then he really couldn't think of anyone else who could tell him what had happened. It seemed that he could not figure out the mystery of his birth for the time being. Old ancestor. After the old ancestor's reincarnation, he could only ask the old ancestor. He did not continue to dwell on this problem. The consequences of using the 9 needles sealing God and the space-time wheel were extremely terrifying. If he was not careful, he would lose his life. On a mountain not far from the dragon sect, in a hidden cave halfway up the mountain. Until now, Longamo and Gu Shuang were still scared. They did not dare to leave the cave for 3 days. As deity realm martial artists, they were scared away by Long Ao. If this matter were to spread out, where would their face be? When Longao entered the Long family, he was only a green-grade great emperor. No matter how fast his cultivation speed was, it was impossible for him to break through from the green-grade great emperor realm to the supreme Dao realm in just a few months. We did not succeed in destroying the dragon sect. We did not even kill Longao. If the great elder hears about this, how are we going to explain it? Longamo waved his hand. Lungmian was not thinking about this. He was thinking about Longao's true strength. I can almost say that even a heavenly god realm martial artist would not be able to resist Longao's sword. It's too terrifying. If we go back now, we might be able to get some unexpected gains. Go back? Hearing her husband's words, Gu Shuang was shocked. Longao's strength was right there. Even if the two of them joined hands, they wouldn't dare to take a single strike from him. This time, if they were to make a comeback, they might not be able to return alive. Lung Mian knew that Gu Shuang was silent. In fact, Lung Mian was a little afraid. If they really went back, he might not dare to go back. What should he do? Let's go back to the family and report this matter to the Great Elder. I believe that the Great Elder will decide how to deal with it. Why do we have to get involved in this? Before Long Mian could say anything, Gu Shuang continued. We do not have much hatred with Longao. It's just the Great Elder's order. If Longao is in trouble, we can kill Longao. If Longao is fine, we will not be able to return alive. Gu Shuang sighed deeply. I know that you are not convinced. However, I still feel that it is worth it for us to risk our lives for the Great Elder's personal grudge. Lung Mian knew what his wife meant. Go? Or not? You just said that we did not destroy the dragon sect and did not kill Longao. Once we go back, how are we going to explain it to the Great Elder? Lung Mian's face was gloomy. He did not expect the situation to change. Not only did they not destroy the dragon sect, they were almost killed by Longao. Both Lung Mian and Gu Shuang were well aware of the First Elder's personality. Once the First Elder found out that they had failed to complete the mission, even if they could avoid death, they would still be punished. At that time, it would be normal for them to be punished. They could neither advance nor retreat. For a moment, Lung Mian and Gu Shuang did not know what to do. In the cave, it was quiet. No one spoke. Under such circumstances, the two did not know what to say. What should we do? Lung Mian's face was very ugly because he really didn't know what the two of them should do. After thinking about it, Lung Mian sighed deeply and said helplessly, You are right. We don't have much enmity with Longao. It's just for the Great Elder's personal enmity. It's really not worth it to lose our lives. Gu Shuang was overjoyed when she heard Lung Mian's words. She was afraid that her husband would go back. If they were unlucky and Longao was fine, they would not be able to return. At that time, it would not be easy for them to leave even if they wanted to. This time, in order to escape, the two of them had forcefully used their bloodline and were severely injured. If they went back now, wouldn't they be courting death? Although we are not going back, we cannot go back to the family. Let's send a message to the Great Elder. Tell him that we will not give up until we kill Longao. I believe the Great Elder will agree. Okay. Gu Shuang knew what Lung Mian meant. If they went back to the family like this, they would definitely be punished. Instead of going back, they might as well stay and find a chance to kill Longao. At that time, they would make up for their mistakes. In this way, they would not be punished when they return to the family. They might even be rewarded. P.S. Some people are really disgusting. When Little Nine was a little slow, they scolded him. Little Nine would like to ask, Where were you when Little Nine went berserk? Did you give him a monthly vote? Tipped him once? Tomorrow, Little Nine will go berserk 10 times. Let's see if those people who scolded him will have the motivation to do so. Let's not talk about the Alliance Leader, Hall Leader, and Protector. Can they do it? Chapter 1064. Tianwu Continent. Long Family. Inside a secret chamber, Long Hang, who received the news, had an extremely gloomy expression on his face. It was as ugly as it could get. Long Hang had never thought that Longao would leave the Long family to return to Jiuzhou Continent to help his family. He should have thought of this earlier, but why did he miss it? In the end, from the beginning to the end, Long Hang had never put Longao in his eyes. How big could a mere purple-grade great emperor martial artist cause? What was the result? According to the news brought back by Longmian and Gushuang, Longao had killed 100 great emperor martial artists in one strike. Even the two of them had to leave with serious injuries. With Longao's strength, could he do that? According to the news brought back by Longmian, Longao must have used some kind of power to increase his strength. Otherwise, Longao would not be able to do that. Not to mention two Supreme Dao martial artists, he might not even be able to win against a white-grade great emperor martial artist. What kind of secret skill was that? Long Heng cursed in his heart. He knew that he had not succeeded in destroying the dragon sect, nor did he kill Longao. Sooner or later, the news would spread. A mere Longao. Would he even put him in his eyes? The problem now was that Longao had the support of the clan leader. If the clan leader spread the news, he would be in big trouble. That was right. No matter what happened, the clan leader must not hear about it. Long Heng did not continue to send people because he knew that the clan leader would notice Long Ao's sudden departure. It would be irrational to continue sending people out at this time. If Long Ao really used the secret skill, Longmian and Gushuang would be enough to take care of Long Ao. Again, Long Heng would not act rashly if he did not have full confidence. The situation in Jiuzhou continent was changing. There was only one big force in Jiuzhou continent. It was the branch of the Martial Artists Alliance, the so-called Serene Hell Mansion. Everyone knew that the Serene Hell Mansion was a branch of the Martial Artists Alliance. In the Jiuzhou continent, there were originally 4 clans. They were the East Royal City, the Long Clan of the West, the Netherworld Mansion of the South, and the Ethereal Palace of the North. Ever since the Nether Mansion gained the support of the Martial Artists Alliance, the other 3 families had surrendered without a fight. Right now, although the Long family and the Ethereal Palace still existed in the Imperial City, they followed the Nether Mansion's lead in everything. As the saying went, even if the Nether Mansion didn't exist, the strength of the Martial Artists Alliance had to be taken into account. Wei Yang, the strongest expert in the Nether Mansion, was also a Supreme Dao warrior. Under normal circumstances, the Martial Artists Alliance would not intervene in the affairs of the 9 regions and leave it to the Serene Hades Mansion. Nether Mansion. The Nether Mansion's Mansion Master, Wei Mo, and the Supreme Divine Realm Cultivator, Wei Yang, sat at the head of the hall. They looked at the 2 people in front of them and asked, "May I know why you 2 have come to my Nether Mansion?" The 2 people were Longmian and Gushuang. Although the Martial Artists Alliance and the Long family didn't have a big grudge against each other, the 2 families had always been fighting openly and secretly. Neither of them was willing to submit to the other. Moreover, the Martial Artists Alliance and the Long family wouldn't contact each other unless it was under special circumstances. If they didn't have the Martial Artists Alliance as their backer, Wei Yang and Wei Mo would be afraid. However, neither Wei Mo nor Wei Yang had the slightest fear now. The 2 of them knew very well that the 9 states continent was already considered the territory of the Martial Art Alliance. Unless the Long family wanted to start a war between the 2 families, they would not be able to do anything. Longmian and Gushuang's purpose was simple. With just the strength of the 2 of them, they really didn't dare to kill their way back. Moreover, the Great Elder's intention had been delivered. He wouldn't send anyone over. Under such circumstances, the 2 of them had to rely on their own strength to deal with Long Ao and Long Zong. Longmian and Gushuang weren't fools. Since they had such a ready-made force, why not make use of it? They went straight to the point. Wei Yang, Wei Mo, I know you've always had an enemy. To be honest, our enemy is the same. Why don't we work together to eliminate the Long Ao and the Dragon Sect? What do you think? So that was it. In fact, Wei Yang and Wei Mo had already guessed their intentions. After all, the news that they went to the Dragon Sect and were almost killed had spread throughout the Jiuzhou continent. The Tianwu continent didn't know, but the Jiuzhou continent definitely knew. You too. I want to ask why I should help you? Because we have a common enemy. Gushuang smiled. Wei Yang's expression was strange. He didn't say anything. As for what he meant, no one knew. Wei Yang, as long as the Dragon Sect exists, it's impossible for the Nether Mansion to dominate the Jiuzhou continent. And Long Ao, I don't need to say more about the grudge between you 2. When the Long Ao becomes stronger, will he let you go? Wei Yong and Wei Mo still didn't say anything, but their expressions were very ugly. It was just as they had said. Everyone knew about the grudge between the Longao and the Nether Mansion. If the Longao really became stronger, would he let the Nether Mansion go? There was no doubt about it. Wei Yong, no matter what grudge our Long family has with the Martial Artists Alliance, we only have one common enemy, and that is the Longao. Killing the Longao will benefit both of us and you. Furthermore, our Long family's Grand Elder will also thank you. Grand Elder? Wei Yong and Wei Mo were shocked when they heard the Grand Elder. They naturally knew what the Grand Elder meant. Even the Grand Elder of the Long family was a lofty existence. If they could make the Grand Elder owe them a favor, it wouldn't be a bad thing. It would be a lie to say that they weren't happy. Wei Yong, that's all I have to say. Are you willing to help us deal with the Longao? Lung Mian and Gu Shuang retreated in order to advance. They didn't continue talking because they knew that if Wei Yong didn't want to help, it would be useless no matter how much they talked. If Wei Yong was willing to help, they believed that Wei Yong would agree even if they didn't stop here. The whole palace was quiet. Neither side said anything. Time passed by slowly. After an unknown amount of time, Wei Yong suddenly said, I can help you, but I have two conditions. The first condition is to destroy the dragon sect. No matter what it is, it will belong to us. The second condition is to let the Great Elder know about this. If you agree to my two conditions, I will agree to help you. How about it? Wei Yang's two conditions were reasonable. Even Lung Mian and Gu Shuang knew that. If it was too difficult, they couldn't make the decision. It seemed that Wei Yang also wanted to deal with the Longao. Since things had come to this point, Lung Mian didn't waste any more time. He nodded and said, We agree to both conditions. Chapter 1065. Jiuzhou Continent. Dragon Sect. The news of Longao's safety had spread throughout the Dragon Sect. All of a sudden, the entire Dragon Sect was overjoyed. Everyone was overjoyed. However, at this moment, Longao and the others had a solemn expression as they knew about the Nether Mansion's actions. The Nether Mansion was the true overlord of the Jiuzhou Continent. Even the Dragon Sect could not go against them. In any case, the thousands of people in the Dragon Sect had yet to refine the Divine Dao inheritance and become Divine Dao martial artists. I've received news that Lung Mian and Gu Shuang have found the Nether Mansion. Wei Yang has agreed to help them deal with us. Longao had unknowingly become the person in charge of the Dragon Sect. Nether Mansion. Longao knew more about the Nether Mansion than anyone else. Back then, he and the Nether Mansion had fought to the death. If it wasn't for his good luck, he might have been killed by the Nether Mansion. What should we do now? Longhao's expression was solemn. Lung Mian and Gu Shuang were enough to give him a headache. Now that the Nether Mansion had joined in, could they deal with them? Grandfather, leave this to me. Are you confident? Even until now, Longao still had lingering fears about Ao's previous move. Even if the Dragon Sect was destroyed, he did not want his grandson to continue taking risks. Grandfather, don't worry. Since things had come to this, Longao did not say anything more. In the afternoon, Longao got up and left the Dragon Sect, heading for the Nether Mansion. With his current speed, he would reach the Nether Mansion in 2 hours. Everyone knew about the grudge between Longao and the Serene Nether Mansion. It was almost impossible to enter the Serene Nether Mansion openly. Wei Yang, long time no see. How have you been? Wei Yang was the only one in the hall. Hearing the sudden voice, Wei Yang was not surprised at all, because he had already guessed that Longao would definitely come to find him. In the end, Longao was still wary of the Nether Mansion's strength. It was also because of this that Wei Yang was more and more certain that Longao had only used some kind of secret skill to annihilate more than 100 great emperor experts with one sword. It seemed that it was still impossible to contend against a supreme Dao expert. Wei Yang laughed inwardly. This was what he had been looking forward to the most. Longao had to die. That way, not only would he be able to eliminate a huge threat, he would also be able to sell a favor to the Long family's great elder. It was killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Longao, since you're here, show yourself. Just as Wei Yang finished speaking, Longao had already appeared in the hall. Looking at the figure that suddenly appeared in front of him, Wei Yang smiled and asked, Longao, you know that I have formed an alliance with Coldface and Lone Frost. Why are you still here? Wei Yang really couldn't figure it out. Was Longao not afraid of death? The purple-grayed Great Emperor realm. Wei Yang had sensed Longao's true strength in an instant. With this, Wei Yang became more confident. Wei Yang, I can say with certainty that you do not dare to help Longmian and Gushuang. Oh, of course, Wei Yang wouldn't choose to believe Longao. In his opinion, why wouldn't he dare? Could it be that the other party was the alliance chief of the Martial Artists Alliance? In the end, Wei Yang didn't put Longao in his eyes at all. How could Longao not know about this? Without wasting any time, Longao decided to end the battle quickly. He took out a token from his bosom. The token was emitting a strange aura, which surrounded the entire token. Alliance Chief's token? Looking at the black token in Longao's hand, Wei Yang couldn't believe it. Wei Yang was the person in charge of the Serene Hell Mansion. At the same time, he was also a member of the Martial Artists Alliance. He was familiar with the Alliance Chief's token. Seeing the Alliance Chief's token was like seeing the Alliance Chief. Why would Longao have the Alliance Chief's token? Wei Yang couldn't figure it out. However, he knew very well what the Alliance Chief's token meant. He didn't dare to be careless. He immediately knelt down and saluted the Alliance Chief's token. Then, he stood up and asked, Longao, where did you get this token? Why don't you guess? Guess? F*CK your guess. If Longao didn't suddenly take out the Alliance Chief's token, Wei Yang would have already attacked him. However, Wei Yang didn't dare to act rashly in front of the Alliance Chief's token. If Longao really knew the Alliance Chief, he would be in big trouble. Attacking the Alliance Chief's token was equivalent to attacking the Alliance Chief. If the Martial Artists Alliance knew about this, it would be terrible. Because of this, Wei Yang knew very well that his most important goal now was to figure out where Longao got the Alliance Chief's token. Longao, let me ask you again. Where did you get the Alliance Chief's token? Shaking his head, Longao smiled. A few months ago, when I was in the Martial Artists Alliance, the Alliance Chief personally handed this token to me. He also said that no matter what, as long as I take out this token, I can mobilize the power of any branch of the Martial Artists Alliance. Wei Yang, let me ask you now. Is the Serene Hades Mansion a branch of the Martial Artists Alliance?
Yes.
Wei Yang didn't dare to say this out loud. Unless he was tired of living, he and the Serene Hades Mansion would be doomed if the Martial Artists Alliance knew about this. Wei Yang didn't want to believe Longao's words. However, one could never be too careful. What if what Longao said was true? Longao, what do you want? After thinking for a while, Wei Yang still didn't want to take the risk. In the end, he could only choose to compromise. If Longao really knew the Alliance Chief, then he could use Longao to climb up. Wei Yang didn't want to take the risk for the grudge between them. Wei Yang wasn't stupid. He knew that since the Alliance Chief gave the Alliance Chief's token to Longao, it meant that the relationship between Longao and the Alliance Chief was special. If he could get on the good side of Longao, then wouldn't he be able to climb up the Alliance Chief's tree? The Alliance Chief was the highest existence in the Martial Artists Alliance. Wei Yang, let's be frank. Let's work together to get rid of Coldface and Gushuang. We can't do that. The Serene Hades Mansion is a branch of the Martial Artists Alliance. I believe you already know that. If we go against Coldface and Gushuang, won't we be declaring war on the Long family? If that's the case, then I'll be in big trouble. Longao, I can only promise you that the Serene Hades Mansion won't interfere in your grudge. What do you think? Shameless. Wei Yang was shameless to the core. Longao ignored Wei Yang. His purpose here was to use the Serene Hades Mansion to deal with Coldface and Gushuang. With his strength and the Dragon Sect's power, it was impossible to kill Coldface and Gushuang. Previously, he had killed hundreds of great emperors and scared away 2 divine realm martial artists with 1 sword. He had only used the power of the 9 divine needles to kill Coldface and Gushuang. If he didn't use it when there was a ready-made one, he would have to be crazy. Chapter 1066. Wei Yang, the last sentence, yes or no? Longao did not say anything else. Seeing that Wei Yang was silent, Longao turned around and was ready to leave. Longao sneered in his heart. He was sure that Wei Yang would agree. After all, he had the chief token in his hand. As expected, Longao wait. Wei Yang, I don't have time to wait for you. Wei Yang's face was ghastly pale. He wanted to cut Lin Fan into pieces. However, Lin Fan had the chief token and he did not dare to do so. Longao, I agree. Longao laughed in his heart. However, his face was calm. He turned around and said with a smile, Wei Yang, I will remember your help today. I will return it to you in the future. Wei Yang waved his hand in annoyance. Longao, cut the crap. What do you want me to do? Longao smiled and did not waste any more time. He said, Wei Yang, with your strength, how confident are you in killing Lung Mian and Gu Shuang in a 1 versus 2 situation? They were both empty gods. However, there were also strong and weak virtual gods. Longao was very clear about this. Longao, if it was 1-on-1, I might be able to kill one of them. However, I can't kill both of them at the same time. Forgive me for being powerless. Wei Yang wasn't lying about this. Longao did not doubt him. Before coming, Longao had thought about it. He could not let Wei Yang fight Lung Mian and Gu Shuang at the same time. Even if he was willing, he believed that Wei Yang would not agree. Wei Yang, you deal with Gu Shuang. I will deal with Lung Mian. What do you think? He was surprised because Wei Yang did not think that Lin Fan could do it. Lung Mian was a supreme Dao martial artist. Even if he was only a nihility god martial artist, he was not someone Longao could contend against. After all, the difference between a supreme Dao martial artist and a great emperor martial artist was too great. They could not be compared. Looking at Wei Yang's expression, Longao already knew what Wei Yang was thinking. It wasn't just Wei Yang who didn't believe it. If it were anyone else, they wouldn't believe it either. Longao, I agree. Wei Yang and Longao had reached an agreement. Strictly speaking, Wei Yang had only agreed because of the alliance leader token in Longao's hands. Longao didn't leave the Nether Mansion. According to Longao's plan, he would kill Lung Mian and Gu Shuang in the Serene Hell Mansion. That way, even if the matter was exposed in the future, the Long family would not blame him. As for Long Hang, whether he knew or not, it was all the same. Longao knew that with his current strength, he couldn't compete with the entire Long family. In the beginning, Wei Yang didn't agree at all. After all, if this matter was exposed, especially to the Long family's great elder, the consequences would be unimaginable. Would the martial artists' alliance really go to war with the Long family for him? If this matter was exposed, the first one to suffer would be him. However, Longao had the alliance leader token in his hands. Wei Yang had no choice but to agree. However, to prevent this matter from being exposed, Wei Yang sealed the news. Only a few people knew about this matter. Moreover, Wei Yang had already told them that if this matter was exposed, no matter who it was, they would be killed without mercy. The next day, the dawn of the morning shone on the land. Wei Yang had personally invited Lung Mian and Gu Shuang. From the beginning to the end, Lung Mian and Gu Shuang had never thought that Wei Yang would stab them in the back. Otherwise, they wouldn't have dared to come. Stepping into the Serene Hell Mansion. Inside the Serene Hell Mansion, Wei Yang, since you've invited us here in such a hurry, do you have a way to deal with Longao? Although they had joined forces, Lung Mian and Gu Shuang still didn't dare to go to the dragon sect casually. The sword attack that Longao had unleashed was too powerful. They still had lingering fears. That was why Lung Mian and Gu Shuang had been thinking of ways to deal with Longao. To be honest, I've already thought of a way to deal with Longao. They were surprised. Lung Mian and Gu Shuang were pleasantly surprised. The two of them asked at the same time, "What is it?" "It's simple. According to what you've said before, Longao used a powerful secret skill to kill hundreds of great emperors in an instant. Even the two of you can't fight against him. If we force our way in, Longao will take us down with him. Even if we kill Longao, what's the point? How could Lung Mian and Gu Shuang not know about this? It was because of Longao's secret skill that they didn't dare to go. Longao's shocking sword attack was too terrifying. If it weren't for the fact that they had to detonate their bloodline, It would be impossible for them to leave. Wei Yang, what is it? Let me tell you a piece of good news. I've successfully lured Longao into the serene underworld mansion. Ah, both Lung Mian and Gu Shuang were shocked when they heard Wei Yang's words. They had never thought that Longao would be in the serene underworld mansion. They were curious about how Wei Yang managed to lure Longao here. Lung Mian and Gu Shuang were sly old foxes. They instantly became alert. Based on the grudge between the serene underworld mansion and Longao, it was impossible for Longao to enter the serene underworld mansion unless Longao was out of his mind. A sheep entering a tiger's den would only lead to death. Wei Yang, I want to ask, how did you lure Longao here? Wei Yang knew that they were on guard when he saw Lung Mian and Gu Shuang's expressions. However, Wei Yang didn't seem surprised at all. He acted as if nothing had happened and said, "You don't believe me?" Without giving the two of them any chance to speak, Wei Yang continued, "Since you two don't believe me, why do you still want to join hands with me? You're really taking off your pants to fart. What an unnecessary move. I'll go and let Longao leave now." They were shocked. The two of them secretly cursed themselves. The enmity between the Nether Mansion and Longao was there. Wei Yang wouldn't choose to go against the two of them for an enemy. Not to mention, there was still the Great Elder behind them. Would Wei Yang dare to offend the Great Elder? Although Wei Yang belonged to the Martial Artists Alliance, the Great Elder could kill Wei Yang in a matter of minutes. They both knew this, and they believed that Wei Yang also knew this. Unless Wei Yang was reckless, he wouldn't help Longao and choose to go against them and the Great Elder. Brother Wei Yang, please calm down. We're just asking. We're really curious. With the grudge between you and Longao, we really want to know how you managed to lure Longao to the serene underworld mansion. Lung Mian and Gu Shuang had already let down their guard. They thought it was impossible. Chapter 1067. He sneered. At this point, Wei Yang had decided to deal with Lung Mian and Gu Shuang, the Martial Artists Alliance and the Long family, the Alliance Chief and the Great Elder. In the end, Wei Yang chose the Martial Artists Alliance and the Alliance Chief instead of the Long family and the Great Elder. In Wei Yang's opinion, even if he killed Lung Mian and Gu Shuang, who would know? He just had to eliminate the source of the problem. As long as he kept the news a secret, he believed that the Long family would definitely blame it on Longao. At that time, the Long family would eliminate Longao, and he would have nothing to lose. That was exactly the case. Wei Yang casually found a reason to fool the two of them. As for Lung Mian and Gu Shuang, they believed it too. They still did not believe that Wei Yang would team up with Longao to trick them. No one would believe it, let alone the two of them. Longao's move was to give them a taste of their own medicine. It was too ruthless. Wei Yang, if that's the case, what are we waiting for? I don't believe that Longao won't be able to use his secret skill with the three of us working together. In the end, Lung Mian and Gu Shuang were still wary of Longao's secret skill, especially the terrifying power of that sword. Lung Mian and Gu Shuang had already thought of a countermeasure. Even if Longao's secret skill was powerful, they believed that they would be able to kill him with a sneak attack. If Lung Mian and Gu Shuang knew about this, they would be ridiculed. Three Supreme Dao martial artists working together to deal with a small purple-grade Great Emperor martial artist. No one in the world would be able to do such a thing. The gap between the Supreme Dao realm and the Great Emperor realm was an insurmountable gap. Even in a one-on-one situation, a Great Emperor martial artist would not be able to defeat a Supreme Dao martial artist. Lung Mian, Gu Shuang. The three of us can't attack from the same direction. Why is that? It's very simple. Although Longao's strength isn't that great, he's too cunning. No one knows how many secrets Longao has. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. We can't afford to miss it. Otherwise, we'll be letting the tiger return to the mountain. Lung Mian and Gu Shuang nodded in agreement. So, let's attack Longao from 3 different directions at the same time. I don't believe that Longao won't die. All right. Lung Mian and Gu Shuang agreed without hesitation. Just as Wei Yang had said, this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. No matter what happened, they could not miss this opportunity. Otherwise, if they let the tiger return to the mountain, it would be even more difficult to find such an opportunity in the future. Wei Yang, Lung Mian, and Gu Shuang walked towards the courtyard of the Serene Hell Mansion. Perhaps Lung Mian and Gu Shuang were too excited. They did not notice it at all. Under normal circumstances, as the branch of the Martial Artists Alliance and the overlord of the Jojo continent, the Serene Hell Mansion would not be so quiet. Along the way, they did not even see a ghost, let alone a person. But now, the three of them did not see a single person along the way. If it was under normal circumstances, Lung Mian and Gu Shuang would have noticed that something was wrong. In the courtyard, Longao was indeed there. However, it was an illusion created by his aura. If they did not observe him closely, they would not be able to sense it. He's really here. Looking at Longao, who was sitting in the courtyard, Lung Mian and Gu Shuang had already confirmed it. They were pleasantly surprised because the two of them knew that Longao did not have the slightest bit of vigilance at this moment. It was also the best opportunity to attack. If they missed it, it would be almost impossible to find such an opportunity in the future. Let's attack. Lung Mian and Gu Shuang nodded. At this moment, Lung Mian and Gu Shuang suddenly rushed out. As for Wei Yang, he did not move. This is not good. Let's retreat. Seeing that Wei Yang did not attack, Lung Mian and Gu Shuang realized that something was wrong. Until now, the two of them could not figure out why Longao and Wei Yang would team up. But one had to know. The two of them had a life and death feud. This was known by the entire Jojo continent. No matter who it was that teamed up with Longao, it should not be Wei Yang. This was too crazy. Longao alone was enough to make the two of them wary. Now that Wei Yang was added to the mix, the two of them were even more annoyed. Not daring to be careless, the two of them turned around and prepared to leave. In the end, the two of them entered a gray space. One of them, could not see each other. This was the illusion array that Longao had set up. At this moment, Lung Mian and Gu Shuang were extremely shocked. Although the two of them were not array masters, they had some understanding of arrays. The two of them were almost certain that they had entered an illusion array. Moreover, the two of them had already guessed that Wei Yang and Longao had teamed up. Although the two of them were shocked, they did not dare to hesitate and immediately started to break the array. Outside the illusion array, Wei Yang, the two illusion arrays that I have set up can only trap the two of them for a while. It cannot trap them forever. Hence, according to our previous agreement, each of us will deal with one of them. Wei Yang was very surprised. This was because he did not expect Longao's array skills to be so powerful. Since things had already developed to this stage, Wei Yang knew that he could not refuse. He nodded and immediately entered the illusion array. According to their previous agreement, Wei Yang would deal with Gu Shuang. The remaining one, Lung Mian, would be dealt with by Longao. Seeing that Wei Yang had entered the illusion array, Longao did not open it at all. He also entered the illusion array. Each of them would deal with one of them. In the illusion array, looking at Longao who had suddenly appeared, Lung Mian's face was extremely gloomy. It was as ugly as it could be because he already knew what had happened. He coldly said, Longao, I can't help but admire you. You can actually connect with Wei Yang. However, I am very curious. With the grudge between you and Wei Yang, how did you do it? Until now, Lung Mian still did not know what had happened. This was because he still could not figure out how Longao had managed to contact Wei Yang based on the grudge between Longao and Wei Yang. No matter how he thought about it, Lung Mian could not figure out what benefits this would bring to Wei Yang. Lung Mian, do you really want to know? Nonsense. Lung Mian stared at him fiercely. In his heart, he thought, if I don't want to know, why would I ask you? Guess. Longao, I guess your sister. Hearing that Longao wanted him to guess, Lung Mian almost collapsed. He had seen shameless people before, but he had never seen someone as shameless as Longao. Lin Fan was simply shameless to the extreme. However, things had already developed to this stage. It would be a lie if Lung Mian said that he was not afraid. After all, Longao's shocking sword was still vivid in his mind. He could not forget it. Chapter 1068. Longao, you and I don't have any grudges. Are you willing to admit this? Longao didn't say anything. I'm doing this because of the Great Elder's orders. Longao still didn't say anything. Longao also wanted to hear what Lungmian wanted to say. Longao, let's end this here. My wife and I will return to the family immediately. From now on, we won't step foot in the 9 provinces continent. How about that? The shocking sword was unparalleled. Just thinking about it made them feel scared. If they hadn't detonated their bloodline to escape, they would have died on Longao's peak. Afraid of death. Lungmian had always been afraid of death. Because of this, Lungmian chose to compromise in the end. Would Longao agree? Lungmian, do you know my bottom line? Lungmian didn't answer because he didn't know what Longao meant by asking this. Bottom line? My bottom line is my family. No matter what grudges you have with me, I can let you go. But if you touch my family, I won't tolerate it. You touched my bottom line, so you must die. This was Longao's bottom line. For his family, even if he had to die, Longao wouldn't hesitate. Hearing this, Lungmian was furious. As a supreme Dao martial artist, he was being pressured by a great emperor martial artist. If this matter were to spread, where would his face go? Even if it was for his life, he would completely lose the face of a supreme Dao martial artist by compromising like this. Longao, you've gone too far. I'd like to see how you're going to kill me today. Since he was going to die anyway, Lungmian was going to throw caution to the wind. He didn't continue to talk nonsense and rushed out. Before he arrived, his terrifying aura had already arrived first. Lungmian's intention was very simple. He wanted to end the battle quickly. It was still the same sentence. Lungmian was very wary of Longao's secret technique. If Longao was crazy and really used the secret technique, wouldn't he die without a doubt? Because of this, Lungmian did not intend to give Longao any chance. He planned to use his aura to suppress Longao and then kill him in one strike, not giving Longao any chance to retaliate. How could Longao not know the meaning of cold face? Aura suppression? If they were to fight using their true strength, Longao might be afraid. Wanting to suppress him with his aura? Dream on. Longao immediately released a powerful sword aura. It had already fused with the aura of heaven and earth, as well as various ultimate skills. At this moment, the sword aura was extremely terrifying. Lungmian originally thought that he could rely on his aura to suppress his opponent and then kill him in one strike. However, he never expected that the aura he released would be suppressed by Longao's sword. He was startled. However, they had already reached this point. Could it be that they had to forcefully withdraw? Just like this, Lungmian braced himself and attacked fiercely. In the blink of an eye, the two of them were already engaged in a fierce battle. With the help of his aura suppression, Longao really gave Lungmian a show of strength at the beginning. Lungmian was especially wary of him. In this way, within the first 10 moves, Longao pressed on, and Lungmian did not retreat. However, the gap was still a gap, especially in terms of cultivation realm. Other things could not make up for it. Lungmian was a supreme Dao warrior, while Longao was only a purple grade great emperor. The gap between the two was too big. He could barely withstand the first 10 moves, but after the 10th move, Longao began to falter. If it was not for his spatial teleportation, he would have died long ago. Lungmian was instantly delighted. Lungmian knew very well that as long as Longao did not use his secret technique, it was almost impossible for him to kill him. It seemed that Longao was also very afraid of the backlash of the secret technique. Therefore, the more it was like this, the more he wanted to end the battle quickly. He could not waste any more time. Otherwise, once Longao used the secret technique, would he be able to withstand it? Lungmian disappeared. In the dragon seal space. Long Fu, didn't you just say that you have a way to help me get rid of Lungmian? On Gu Shuang's side, Longao was not worried at all. According to Wei Yang's strength, it should be impossible for him to fight against 2 people at the same time. However, in a one-on-one situation, it should not be difficult for Wei Yang to kill Gu Shuang. Therefore, as long as Wei Yang still wanted to stay in the martial artist alliance, he would definitely kill Gu Shuang. After all, he had the alliance leader's token. If Gu Shuang was not worried, then what about Lungmian? With his strength, he could only kill Lungmian if he used the 9-needle sealing spirit. However, Longao did not dare to continue using the Nine Needles sealing spirit. Previously, he forcefully used the Nine Needles sealing spirit and shattered his dantian. If it was not for a mysterious force that helped him to reform his dantian, he would have died by now. Master, my method is very simple. Stall for time. Stall for time? Longao was not an idiot. He immediately understood what Long Fu meant. It was nothing more than stalling for time. After Wei Yang killed Gu Shuang, he would use Wei Yang's strength to deal with Long Mian. It was killing two birds with one stone. According to the current situation, Longao knew that Long Fu's method was the only and best way. It was too difficult to kill Long Mian. In the end, Longao chose Long Fu's method. Stall for time and use Wei Yang to kill Long Mian. Longao did not continue attacking. As for Long Mian, seeing that Longao had suddenly disappeared, he did not hesitate and immediately started to break the formation. Others might not know, but it was impossible for him and Wei Yang not to know that Long Mian and Gu Shuang were actually the great elder's lackeys. Once the two of them died and this matter was leaked, would Long Heng let it go? Wei Yang, we'll talk about the grudge between us in the future. However, I hope that we can settle it ourselves. I've already said that the dragon sect is my bottom line. If you touch my bottom line, no matter who it is, I'll destroy them. F***CK off. Wei Yang didn't care about Longao at all. If it wasn't for the Alliance Master token in Longao's hands, would Wei Yang be so obedient? Longao, you have the Alliance Master token in your hands. We can't be enemies in the future. I hope we can be friends. I'm a straightforward person. If you have something to say, say it. Without giving Longao any chance to speak, Wei Yang continued, if I'm not wrong, your relationship with the Alliance Master should be pretty good. I hope you can put in a few good words for me in front of the Alliance Master. I don't want to stay in the 9 states anymore. What do you think? Longao didn't say anything. He turned around and left. As for whether he agreed, Wei Yang didn't know at all. Looking at the figure that was already gradually disappearing, Wei Yang's expression was extremely ugly as he muttered to himself, Longao, one day, I will make your life worse than death. Even the heavens won't hear your cries, and the earth won't respond. The next day after Long Mian and Gu Shuang were killed, the news was sent back to the Martial Artists Alliance. It wasn't sent back to the Alliance Master or anyone else, but to He Sha. He Sha's strength was unfathomable. He had a very close relationship with Hades. He Sha was also Wei Yang's master. Because of this, Wei Yang didn't tell anyone about this. He only told He Sha because he wanted to know what was going on with the Alliance Master token in Longao's hands. Wei Yang had made up his mind. If the Alliance Master token in Longao's hands was truly given to him by the Alliance Master, then the enmity between them would be written off. He would also do his best to mend his relationship with Longao. If the Alliance Master token in Longao's hands was fake and Longao had obtained it from somewhere else, then no matter what, he would kill Longao. Even if it was for the Nether Mansion, it could be considered as killing him to silence him. Lei Luo, a deity, could be considered He Sha's subordinate. Lei Luo had come to the 9 Provinces continent on behalf of the Martial Artists Alliance to help the Nether Mansion deal with the other 3 superpowers. However, Lei Luo's strength was there for all to see. He was only going to help. Once he was done, he would immediately return to the Martial Artists Alliance. 9 Provinces continent. Nether Mansion, Main Hall. Big Brother Lei Luo, why are you here? Seeing Lei Luo, Wei Yang was a little shocked. He had never imagined that his master would send Lei Luo here. It had to be known that among his many subordinates, Lei Luo was the one his master valued the most. Wei Yang, the Lord sent me here mainly for Longao. Tell me what's going on. Seeing how serious Lei Luo was, Wei Yang didn't dare to hesitate. He immediately told Lei Luo everything that had happened, especially the Alliance Master token in Longao's hands. After hearing everything, Lei Luo's expression became extremely ugly. After thinking for a while, Lei Luo said curiously, Longao has never been to the Martial Artists Alliance. As for whether Longao knows the Alliance Master, let alone me, Even the Lord can't be sure. Big Brother Lei Luo, since that's the case, what should we do now? The Lord's intention is very simple. Let's wait and see. With the Alliance Master's strength, it's impossible for anyone to snatch the Alliance Master token from him. Therefore, we can't be sure whether the Alliance Master token in Longao's hands is related to the Alliance Master. Lei Luo was also very surprised. He didn't know what to do because it was better to be safe than sorry. If the Alliance Master token in Longao's hands was really given by the Alliance Master, then wouldn't his side be in a passive position? It was also because of this that He Sha had repeatedly told him to wait and see. Chapter 1070. Let's wait and see. Wei Yang let out a deep sigh. It seemed that even his master was afraid of Longao. However, it made sense. No matter what, the Alliance Chief token in Longao's hand represented the Alliance Chief's personal arrival. Not to mention his master, even if someone of a higher level in the Martial Artist Alliance came, they would still be afraid. That was the power of the Alliance Master token. After killing Lung Mian and Gu Shuang, Longao left the Serene Ghost Mansion and returned to the Dragon Sect immediately. Longao Peak. As soon as Longao returned, Long Haosher asked impatiently, "Ao, how did it go?" Long Haosher was afraid of Lung Mian and Gu Shuang. No matter what, they were both Divine Path martial artists. As long as they were alive, they would be a big threat to the Dragon Sect. How could Long Ao not know about his grandfather's fear? Grandpa, Lung Mian and Gu Shuang are dead. Dead? Hearing Ao's words, Long Haosher was overjoyed. As for how Ao did it, Long Haosher didn't ask. He knew that if Ao didn't want to say, even if he asked, it would be useless. Ao, Grandpa wants to ask you something. I hope you can answer me truthfully. Grandpa, please ask. In fact, Long Ao had guessed what his grandfather wanted to ask. As expected. Ao, did you have a conflict with Long Heng when you went to the Long family? It seemed that his grandfather already knew about it. In that case, there was no point in keeping it a secret. In the following time, Long Ao recounted the matter between him and Long Heng in full detail, automatically omitting the dangers involved. His grandson described it so casually, but Long Haosher knew that it must have been dangerous. However, Long Haosher did not ask. Ao, Long Heng's strength and identity are obvious. Now that you have offended him, have you thought about how you will deal with him? Long Heng was the great elder of the Long family. Just as Long Haosher said, Long Heng's strength and identity were obvious. Even if Sun Tzu and the Dragon Sect were involved, it would be nonsense. What should he do? Long Ao really didn't know what to do. If it were an ordinary person, he would still have full confidence. However, Long Heng's status and strength were a little too strong. It seemed a little unrealistic to want to deal with Long Heng in a short time. Ao, Grandpa knows what you're thinking, but sometimes you have to restrain yourself. It's not a good thing to show off too much. Do you understand what Grandpa is saying? Nodding, Long Ao replied, Grandfather, I understand. He was showing off too much. Back then, Long Tian and the primordial divine dragon had tried to challenge the heavenly Das. In the end, they had been killed by the heavenly Das. They hadn't even had a chance. Long Ao was almost certain that if Long Tian and the primordial divine dragon were able to restrain themselves and find an opportunity to absorb the power of origin to reach the peak of the martial Tao, then even defeating the heavenly Tao would not be impossible. Ao, Grandpa believes in you. There's one more thing. The old ancestor has been in the cycle of reincarnation for such a long time. Do you know when the old ancestor will successfully reincarnate? Ancestor? Long Ao had been paying attention to the old ancestor situation. He wanted to find the old ancestor as soon as possible. Previously, Long Batian had said that his reincarnation this time could be said to be a narrow escape. If he was not careful, he would fail the reincarnation and fall into eternal damnation. Reincarnation was like that. The more times one went through, the greater the danger. Long Batian had already reincarnated 7 times. It was needless to say how dangerous it was. Before Long Batian entered the cycle of reincarnation, He had already told Longao that once the reincarnation was successful, he would give him a hint. At that time, Longao would look for the old ancestors' traces and help Longbatian be reborn. There was no hint, which meant that the old ancestor had not successfully reincarnated. Whether he was dead or alive was still unknown. In addition, Longao had always wanted to find out the mystery of his birth. Originally, he wanted to use this opportunity to return to find out what was going on. Unfortunately, his grandfather and father did not know. After thinking for a long time, Longao could only think of the old ancestor, Longbatian. Longao even suspected that the old ancestor definitely knew about this matter. Otherwise, then the matter of the bloodline in his body being sealed would really not be known by anyone. However, it was still unknown when the old ancestor would be reborn. That was right. Longao had already thought about it. This time, after settling the sex matter and the Long family's matter, he would continue to go to the outer sea to find the clairvoyant and ask him about his bloodline being sealed. Longao was very clear that the clairvoyant's Tao of divination was very powerful. As long as the clairvoyant was willing to tell him, it would save him a lot of trouble. Grandfather, I will settle the old ancestors' matter. The problem now is that we have to think of a way to resist these foreign enemies. Longao was a little speechless about formations. Longao was very clear that if his formation Tao could reach the next level, then the formation that he set up would be able to kill even supreme Tao warriors, such as Long Mian, Gu Shuang, or Wei Yang, let alone great Emperor Realm warriors. Formation Masters were ranked from lowest to highest. Level 1 Formation Master, Level 2 Formation Master, Level 3 Formation Master, Level 4 Formation Master, Level 5 Formation Master, Level 6 Formation Master, Level 7 Formation Master, Level 8 Formation Master, Level 9 Formation Master, Level 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 Formation Master, and Level Formation Master. Among the Array Masters, a God-level Array Master was the pinnacle of existence. Longao's Array Tao had reached the peak of the level of Level Formation Master. He was only one step away from becoming an Level Formation Master. However, the last step was a little difficult. Moreover, there was still the God-level Formation Master, which was even more difficult. Longao nodded. He was very clear about his grandson's worries. After thinking for a while, he said, "The dragon sect cannot be hidden forever. Once Longhang finds out that Long Mian and Gu Shuang were killed, he will not let it go. If nothing goes wrong, I believe Longhang will send more powerful warriors. At that time, it will be more difficult for us to deal with them." Longao was afraid of this. No matter what, he could not use the 9 needles sealing God every time, and he could not rely on the power of the Martial Artists Alliance every time. Some methods might work the first time, but they might not work the second time. After all, the other party was not stupid and would not let you use him every time. Moreover, Wei Yang was not stupid. He was an old fox. What should I do? Grandfather, what do you think we should do now? As the saying goes, the older the ginger, the spicier it is. Longao had lived for so many years. His experience were all there. This was not something that Longao could casually compare with. Longao was very clear about this point. P.S. I woke up at 4:30 in the morning. I will send out the first 7 chapters. Xiaoju will go and rest for a while. As for the remaining 3 chapters, Xiaoju will try to hurry up. Don't rush me. I hope you have votes in your hands. Chapter 1072. Agreed. In the end, Long Maoan agreed. After all, Long Maoan didn't want his family to be destroyed. As the head of the Long family, he had to put the family's interests first, not only the third-level Long family. In the following days, Longao went to the Imperial City and the Ethereal Palace. Their intentions were similar. There was no doubt about it. The Imperial City and the Ethereal Palace both agreed. Longao had the Alliance Leader token. It was easy for the Serene Hades Mansion to not deal with the 3 forces. In other words, the situation in the Jiuzhou continent wouldn't change for the time being, unless the Martial Artists Alliance or the other 9 forces intervened. There were 2 reasons why Longao helped the 3 forces. First, Longao didn't want to change the situation in the Jiuzhou continent. After the Serene Hades Mansion dealt with the other 3 forces, they would definitely go all out to deal with the Dragon Sect. How would the Dragon Sect deal with that? Second, Longao had found a way out for the Dragon Sect. If there was a war in the future, at least they would have helped. They might be able to catch the Dragon Sect off guard. The Jiuzhou continent. In the Serene Hades Mansion, Lei Luo appeared in the main hall as soon as Longao left. "Brother Lei Luo, what do you think?" Wei Yang's face darkened. He didn't expect Longao to take advantage of him. Earlier, he forced him to kill Lung Mian and Gu Shuang. Now, he didn't want him to deal with the 3 forces in the Imperial City and maintain the situation in the Jiuzhou continent. If this spread out, he would lose face. What about the Martial Artists Alliance? Lei Luo's face darkened. "There's no news from the Lord. We can't be sure if the Alliance Leader token in Longao's hand was given by the Alliance Leader." How could Wei Yang not understand the meaning behind Lei Luo's words? "Brother Lei Luo, what should we do now?" "Wait and see. I'd like to see what tricks Longao can play." Since things had come to this point, Wei Yang knew that he could only wait for the news from the Martial Artists Alliance and see what to do. After dealing with the Jiuzhou continent, Longao let out a long sigh of relief. Dragon Sect, Lone Courtyard. Longao sat quietly by himself. No one knew what he was thinking in his mind. All of a sudden, Longao's expression changed. Before he could react, 2 Primal Chaos Stone Tablets appeared. They were the 5 Elements Primal Chaos Stone Tablet and the Devour Primal Chaos Stone Tablet. They were in big trouble. Towards these 2 Chaos Stone Tablets, Longao was truly helpless. This was because he had no idea when these 2 Chaos Stone Tablets would appear and when they would stop. They were like the wind and clouds, constantly changing. At this moment, the 2 Chaos Stone Tablets didn't start fighting as expected. One on the left and one on the right, they were like 2 lovers in love. They stared at each other without moving at all. Longao didn't dare to act rashly because he didn't know what the 2 Chaos Tablets wanted. This situation had never happened before. Did they want to fight or not? Longao tried to communicate with Long Fu, Xiling, and Bai Ling to see if the 3 of them had any ideas. If he didn't communicate, he wouldn't have known. Now that he did, he was shocked. This was because Longao realized that be it Xiling, Bai Ling, or Long Fu, he couldn't communicate with them. If he wasn't wrong, it should be because of the 2 Chaos Stone Tablets. With a so, Longao's soul entered his Dantian. Looking at the white and gray area, he was really curious. He didn't know why his soul would suddenly enter his Dantian. Chaotic Dantian. Chaos Stone Tablets. Seeing the 2 Chaos Stone Tablets enter his Dantian, Longao was really curious. He didn't know what the relationship between the Chaos Stone Tablets and his Dantian was. Refining? Longao could clearly sense that at this moment, his Dantian was refining the 2 Chaos Stone Tablets. Even if it was devouring the tablets, it was still being refined. Longao didn't know what was happening at all. Why would his Dantian suddenly refine the 5 elements Chaos Stone Tablets and even devour them? With regards to his Dantian, Longao was really looking forward to it. To be able to refine 2 Chaos Stone Tablets, one could imagine how terrifying his Dantian was. Longao was powerless. He could only watch quietly as the 2 Chaos Stone Tablets were being refined by his Dantian. As for whether or not he could refine them, that was still unknown. If he said that he wasn't happy, that would be a lie. Longao was very clear what it meant for his Dantian to refine 2 Chaos Stone Tablets. If he successfully refined the Devour and 5 Elements Chaos Stone Tablets, then according to Long Fu, his strength wouldn't increase greatly. He could even become one of the strongest martial artists in the world. In the world, there were a total of 12 Chaos Stone Tablets. No matter who it was, as long as they could obtain one of the Chaos Stone Tablets, they could become a supreme powerhouse in the world. However, Longao was also a little worried. Because from ancient times until now, there had never been a person who could possess 2 Chaos Stone Tablets at the same time, much less refine them. Once Longao successfully refined the Devour and 5 Elements Chaos Stone tablets, he could become the first person in history. There would be no one like him in history. About 6 hours later, Longao was able to move. He left his Dantian and looked around the courtyard. He let out a long sigh of relief, because even now, he still didn't know what had just happened. Why would the 2 Primal Chaos Stone tablets suddenly enter his Primal Chaos Dantian and even begin to be refined? Although the refining speed was a little slow, Longao was still looking forward to it. He was looking forward to his Dantian refining the 2 Chaos Stones. Master, what happened just now? Hearing Long Fu's words, Longao was almost certain that Long Fu didn't know what had just happened. Since he didn't know, he didn't intend to tell Long Fu. After all, Long Fu didn't know anything about his Dantian. The 2 Chaos Stone tablets suddenly appeared. Then, I was brought into a mysterious space. 6 hours later, I came back. During this time, I don't know what happened either. Ever since Longao met Long Fu, he didn't hide anything from him. It was because of this that Long Fu didn't suspect anything. After thinking about it, Long Fu didn't say anything. It seemed like even Long Fu didn't know what had happened. We're in big trouble. At this time, Long Haosher rushed into the courtyard. In the entire dragon sect, besides Long Haosher and Long Yi, there was probably no one else who dared to enter the courtyard. After all, Longao's status was there. Even Long Haosher's status was inferior to Longao's. Grandfather, what happened? Longao was curious. He didn't know why his grandfather was so flustered. P.S. Chapter 9 has been delivered. The last chapter will be delivered by Little 9 as soon as possible. Chapter 1074. Has Longao disappeared? He disappeared right under my nose just like that? Looking at the empty space before him, Yi Wushuang was completely dumbfounded. What happened just now? Rumble. Suddenly, the sound of thunder was accompanied by a dragon's roar. Following that, a terrifying sword chi came with the momentum. If not for Yi Wushuang's high vigilance, he believed that the sword would have taken his life. Longao, come out and have a fair fight if you dare. What kind of hero are you sneaking around like that? Hero? Yi Wushuang. Those words coming out of your mouth are an insult to the word. Longao ignored Yi Wushuang. With the help of spatial teleportation, he kept swinging his sword chi. Sword chi followed sword chi, forming a sword net. Longao knew very well that with his current ability, it was impossible for him to be Yi Wushuang's match. Yi Wushuang would not be able to react within a short period of time. He could still resist for a while. As time passed, he would be the one at a disadvantage in the end. He fiercely waved out a sword chi. Then, Longao disappeared completely. It was quiet in front of Longao Peak. Yi Wushuang was the only one there. He looked around angrily, trying to find traces of Longao. In the end, Yi Wushuang was disappointed. Longao, no matter where you go, I'll find you. Yi Wushuang had a feeling that Longao had not left Longao Peak. He entered Longao Peak and began searching. In the huge cave under Longao Peak. Are you all right? Shaking his head, Longao said with a smile, although Yi Wushuang is powerful, it won't be easy for him to deal with me. Grandfather, from now on, everyone in the dragon sect will cultivate here. Without our permission, no one is allowed to leave. Those who disobey will be killed without mercy. How could Long Haosher not know what Aoer meant? Putting aside Long Hang, the Nether Mansion, and the Martial Artists Alliance, just Yi Wushuang alone was not Dragon Sect's match with Yi Wushuang's ability. Aoer, I'll go arrange it now. He nodded. Long Ao's heart was very troubled. He returned to his residence, closed the door, and sat alone quietly. As his horizons grew, Long Ao realized that his strength seemed to be unable to keep up. Even if his cultivation speed was fast, he had started too late. It had been half a month since he left the Long family. According to the distance between the two places, it would take at least 15 days to return from the Long Ao Peak to the Long family. In other words, There were still 2 months left. No matter what happened, he had to rush back to the Long family. Otherwise, he would be in big trouble. Longao was almost certain that if he did not rush back to the Long clan within 3 months, not to mention the others, just Longhang alone would not let go. It was fine to deal with him, but what if he dealt with the dragon sect? Longhang was the great elder of the Long family. Not to mention his own strength, the power he could mobilize was too great. If Longhang really wanted to deal with the dragon sect, he would be in big trouble. As for Yi Wushuang, Longao chose to ignore him. If Yi Wushuang wanted to wait, then he would keep waiting. After all, neither he nor the entire dragon sect would leave the cave casually. In that case, Yi Wushuang could not do anything to him. Tianwu continent, outer sea. In the deepest part of the sea, in the Crystal Palace. Old friend, since you're here, show yourself. Ha ha ha, Oracle, we haven't seen each other for so many years, but you're still the same. The man who entered the Crystal Palace was none other than Long Batian. If Longao were here at this moment, who knew what he would think when he saw his ancestor, Long Batian? According to Long Batian, he had already entered 7 reincarnations. Since that was the case, why would he suddenly appear here? Old friend, why are you suddenly here this time? The Oracle's face was full of vicissitudes, and he looked very weak. Oracle, haven't you recovered from your injuries? Nodding, the Oracle sighed deeply and said helplessly, Unfortunately, I was injured in the battle back then. After so many years, I still can't recover from my injuries. I've tried countless methods, but they still don't work. As the strongest cultivator on the Tianwu continent, the Oracle's helplessness made Long Batian's heart ache. Oracle, I came to find you this time mainly to ask you what's going on with Ao. The Oracle immediately perked up at the mention of Long Ao. Old friend, Long Ao's identity isn't simple. What do you mean? Long Batian was very curious. Of course, he knew who Long Ao was. He was just a junior. What kind of identity could he have? I've already sensed that Long Ao's bloodline is extremely powerful. If it wasn't sealed by a mysterious power, I believe that Long Ao's cultivation speed and explosive power would increase by 1,000 times. You should know better than me what that means. Upon hearing this, Long Batian's expression turned grim. He knew exactly what Master Godly Mathematician meant. I still can't sense where the sealing power in Long Ao's body is coming from, but give me some time, and I should be able to figure it out. So nothing can happen to Long Ao. Other than that, I want to turn Long Ao into my successor. Long Batian had long since thought of this. Otherwise, the Oracle wouldn't have passed on his divine divination Dao to Long Ao. I'll leave Ao to you. I'm preparing to leave for a while. Old friend, if you leave, the heavenly Daos will take advantage of the situation. I won't be able to stop them on my own. What a joke, Oracle. Others might not know your power, but do you think I don't? Let alone one heavenly Daos, even 10 of them wouldn't necessarily be a match for you. Even if you were injured, the heavenly Daos wouldn't be a match for you. Long Batian was very clear about the heavenly Daos and the Oracle's power. He helplessly shook his head and sighed. You don't know. Although I can't accurately calculate, I can roughly guess that the heavenly Daos have already made a breakthrough. What? Long Batian was speechless. He knew exactly what a breakthrough in the heavenly Daos cultivation base meant. If that was the case, then even the Oracle wouldn't necessarily be able to keep the heavenly Daos in check. It was no wonder the heavenly Daos had said that. This time, Long Batian was shocked to the extreme, and it took him a long time to recover. Old friend, the heavenly Daos have hidden themselves very deeply. You and I were both fooled. If we had known this, we would have killed them back then. Now that we've nurtured a tiger, the heavenly Daos will definitely not let this matter rest. In the future, the martial heaven continent will be completely dominated by the heavenly Daos. The heavenly Daos breakthrough will be inevitable, sighed the Oracle. Chapter 1075. Master God Diviner. With just the 2 of us, can't we kill the heavenly Daos? We can't. Long Batian didn't seem to believe it. He knew the heavenly Daos power the best. Even if he had broken through a realm, he couldn't possibly fight the two of them alone. Old friend, Master God Diviner, Long Batian, long time no see. A hearty laugh was heard. Immediately after, Heavenly Tao strode into the Crystal Palace. Long Batian's expression changed slightly as soon as he sensed it. Just as the Master God Diviner had said, the Heavenly Taos were no longer the same as before. Just his aura alone was not something they could contend against. There was no doubt that the Heavenly Taos breakthrough was no small matter. The Heavenly Taos. Neither the Master God Diviner nor Long Batian knew why the Heavenly Taos had suddenly appeared. The Martial Heaven Continent. Many people knew that there were only two people who had truly reached the peak of the martial path. They were the Heavenly Taos and the Master God Diviner. However, many people didn't know that there was another person whose cultivation base had also reached the peak of the martial path. It was Long Batian. However, Long Batian's personality was very strange. He didn't like others knowing about him. Otherwise, the world wouldn't only know about the Heavenly Taos and the Master God Diviner. Master God Diviner, the main reason I came to find you is to ask you to help me calculate. Calculate what? The Master God Diviner's divine Tao was something that even the Heavenly Taos admired. Furthermore, the Heavenly Taos felt a trace of gratitude toward the Master God Diviner. If it hadn't been for the Master God Diviner's help, he wouldn't have been able to reach the peak of the martial path. Long Batian smiled. The Heavenly Taos walked to the side and sat down, looking very indifferent. It was unknown whether or not the Heavenly Taos had heard what the Master God Diviner and Long Batian had said. Master God Diviner, I'll get straight to the point. I want to destroy the 10-direction cauldron and re-establish it. Will there be any problems with that? The Master God Diviner and Long Batian's expressions changed. Both Master God Diviner and Long Batian knew what the Heavenly Tao meant. Other than the three of them, the 10 Directions cauldrons were the strongest existences on the Martial Heaven continent. If something unexpected happened, then one of the 10 Directions cauldrons could reach the peak of the martial path and directly threaten the existence of the Heavenly Taos. Heavenly Taos, you should know that we agreed not to interfere with the Martial Heaven continent situation. Master God Diviner, Yang Qi said, those people are all trying to absorb the essence power. If we don't stop them. Although Heavenly Tao did not finish his words, the meaning in his words was already very clear. Heavenly Tao, I don't want anyone to break our agreement, no matter who it is. At the end of the day, the Heavenly Tao was still somewhat wary of Master God Diviner. Even if his cultivation had made a breakthrough, the Heavenly Tao still did not dare to act rashly. Otherwise, the Heavenly Tao would not have come to ask and would have directly taken action. With the strength of the Heavenly Tao, wanting to destroy the 10 Directions tripod erection was simply a clear matter. Master God Diviner's strength was unfathomable. The Heavenly Taos, the structure of the Martial Heaven continent, cannot be destroyed. As for what you're worried about, I can guarantee that it won't happen. Heavenly Tao, Long Batian, who had been silent this entire time, suddenly said, Heavenly Tao, with your current strength, even if someone is able to absorb the essence power, you can definitely kill them. Why do you have to destroy the 10 Directions tripod erection and change the structure of the continent? He nodded. Although the Heavenly Tao was displeased, he chose to compromise in the end. The Heavenly Tao wanted to advance step by step. If his cultivation base could reach a higher level, then whatever dogfart Master God Diviner and Long Batian would not be a problem. The Master God Diviner was already unfathomable. Adding in Long Batian, the Heavenly Tao did not dare to take the risk. If he was killed by the two of them, wouldn't he be trying to steal a chicken only to end up losing the rice used to lure it? Heavenly Tao, I trust you understand the situation of the Martial Heaven continent. If you act recklessly and expose the secret of the continent, the two of us will not just sit and wait for death. The Heavenly Tao nodded. He was very afraid of the two of them. Heavenly Tao, the Long family and the dragon race, you should let them go. The Heavenly Tao was just about to leave when he heard Long Batian's words. His expression turned cold. Long Batian, aren't you meddling too much in other people's business? You don't seem to have any relationship with the Long family or the dragon race. Long Tian and the primordial divine dragon were a huge problem for the heavenly Tao. How could he let them off so easily? Back then, Long Tian and the primordial divine dragon almost reached the peak of the martial path. Now, they've entered the cycle of reincarnation. If I let the dragon race and the Long family go, wouldn't I be causing trouble for myself? Heavenly Tao, every grievance has its perpetrator, and every debt has its debtor. This is a grudge between the two of you. If you implicate the Long family and the dragon race, it'll be a bit of a disaster. Not giving the heavenly Tao a chance to speak, Long Batian continued, although I have no relationship with the Long family, the God Diviner just said that no matter who it is, the situation of the continent cannot be changed. The God Diviner continued, Heavenly Tao, Long Batian is correct. The grudge between the two of you should not implicate the other. Humph. Even on the martial heaven continent, everyone heard it. Everyone who heard the voice turned pale with fright and were pleasantly surprised. Many people knew very well what the heavenly Tao meant. As the strongest expert in the Tianwu continent, a supreme existence that had stepped onto the peak of the martial path, the martial skills that the heavenly Tao possessed were extremely powerful. As for the power of origin, 99% of the people did not know about it. However, many super experts knew about it, especially those who were infinitely close to the peak of martial arts. They were only a step away. For example, Tong Tiandi, Long Batian, Murong Guena, and the others. As long as they could absorb the power of origin, then there would definitely be someone among them who could reach the peak of the martial path. All of a sudden, everyone became excited. The heavenly Tao mountain descended on the 9 provinces Tianzhou. It wasn't too far from Longao Peak, but it wasn't too close either. The 9 provinces were divided into 9 provinces. They were the Tianzhou, Earth Prefecture, Sun Prefecture, Moon Prefecture, Setting Sun Prefecture, Cloud Prefecture, Crimson Prefecture, Illusion Prefecture, and Black Forest Prefecture. Longao Peak, Dragon Sect, Palace. Longao and the others also heard the heavenly Tao's voice. Other than being pleasantly surprised, the others were also pleasantly surprised. Only Longao's expression was extremely grave. That was because he was very clear on what kind of person the heavenly Tao was. This is an extremely rare opportunity. Are you prepared to participate? Long Haosher already knew of the heavenly Tao's existence. It was precisely because of this that the heavenly Tao possessed the heavenly Tao martial skills. Once obtained them, wouldn't strength explosively increase? However, Long Haosher was also very worried. With the descent of the heavenly Tao mountain, there would definitely be many people wanting to obtain the heavenly Tao martial skills and core energy. Might be powerful, but was it possible for him to contend against all the experts of the martial heaven continent? How could Long Ao not know what his grandfather was worried about? Grandfather, I still haven't decided. Long Ao's heart was in a mess. He didn't say anything else. He returned to his courtyard alone and began to quietly think. Why had the heavenly Tao suddenly acted like this? Long Ao. Looking at the figure that suddenly appeared, Long Ao immediately stood up. He was very surprised and said, Senior Divine Mathematician, why are you here? The person who had just appeared was the God Diviner. He had also reached the peak of the martial path, and his strength was above the heavenly Das. Not only that, but his divine divination Tao was incomparably powerful. It could be said that the God Diviner was the #1 expert of the martial heaven continent. Long Ao had never imagined that the God Diviner would suddenly appear here. Was it for the heavenly Das? As he had expected. Long Ao, you should have heard what the heavenly Das said just now, right? Long Ao nodded. He didn't say anything, because he still wasn't sure why the God Diviner had come this time. In fact, he didn't even know if the heavenly Das and the God Diviner were friends or foes. Who knew if the God Diviner was just using him? I don't know why the heavenly Das are doing this, but Long Ao, I hope you can participate in the descent of the heavenly Tao mountain. As long as you obtain the heavenly Tao martial skills and core energy, I can help you reach the peak of the martial path in the future." Longao didn't feel the slightest bit of joy. He still didn't know if the God Diviner was a friend or foe. "Senior God Diviner, according to my original intentions, I don't want to participate in the struggle for the heavenly Tao Mountain. I trust that you know what core energy represents. If nothing unexpected happens, there will be many experts coming this time. With my current strength, it's impossible for me to obtain the heavenly Tao martial skills, let alone the core energy." Longao was very clear that Long Ditian and the others would not care about the Heaven Path martial skills. As for the source energy, the meaning was different. In order to fight for the source energy, he believed that the strongest experts in the continent would all rush over to fight for it. Longao didn't have the confidence to obtain the heavenly Tao martial skills and core energy in the hands of so many experts. "Longao, don't worry about that. When the heavenly Tao mountain descends, I'll help you." The divine mathematician smiled mysteriously. Then, after a while, two spirit beasts appeared beside him. Long Ao's complexion changed as he felt the powerful aura emitted from the two spirit beasts. Author's note: I'm resting today. 3 chapters have been delivered. Tomorrow, I'll have a small eruption. At the very least, I'll start with 6 chapters. I slept in the morning and will probably wake up very late. Don't rush me. Little 9 will do his best to update as soon as possible. Chapter 1077. Senior God Diviner. These are? The two spirit beasts in front of Long Ao had strange appearances. They looked like a dragon, a tiger, and a qilin. Their mouths were especially huge. Long Ao, these two weeping soul beasts can help you obtain everything in the heavenly Tao Mountain. Many thanks, Senior. If he said he didn't want such a temptation, he would be lying. Long Ao could clearly sense that these two weeping soul beasts were on the same level as Tong Tiendi. In other words, they were existences infinitely close to the peak of the martial path. With these weeping soul beasts, wouldn't he be able to dominate the continent? Long Ao, once the heavenly Tao Mountain is over, these two weeping soul beasts will return. Fuck. He cursed inside. So he was just lending them to him for a few days. Long Ao was depressed to the extreme. However, these two weeping soul beasts belonged to the God Diviner, and he had no right to interfere. However, Long Ao was still satisfied. With the help of these two weeping soul beasts, he was completely confident that he would be able to obtain the heavenly Tao martial skills and core energy. Senior, there's something I don't understand. I want to ask you. Please speak. The God Diviner was very courteous. If the heavenly Taos were here, it was unknown what they would think. Senior God Diviner, I trust you've already sensed that my bloodline has been sealed by a mysterious energy. It was rare for Long Ao to meet the God Diviner. Naturally, he would ask about the seal. Even if the God Diviner hadn't come, Long Ao had already decided that once he was done with the Long family's matter, he would go to the Crystal Palace in the Outer Sea to find the God Diviner. Long Ao was very clear that perhaps only the God Diviner could give him an answer on the martial heaven continent. This was a rare opportunity, so he naturally wouldn't give it up so easily. The God Diviner didn't seem the slightest bit surprised. It seemed he already knew about this. Long Ao, I can't tell you about the seal on your bloodline for now. However, I can guarantee that once your cultivation base breaks through to the Nirvana realm, I'll tell you. What do you think? Again, he wasn't qualified? Apparently, Master God Diviner and the others didn't think he was strong enough. Long Ao knew that if Master God Diviner didn't want to talk, then no matter how many times he asked, he wouldn't say anything. The godly mathematician didn't give Long Ao a chance to ask any more questions. He turned around and disappeared. The two weeping soul beasts also disappeared, but Long Ao already knew how to command them. Grandpa, I'm going to Heavenly Tao Mountain. In the main hall, hearing his grandson's decision, Long Haosher wasn't surprised at all. He had already guessed that his grandson would make such a decision because he knew his grandson too well. It would be strange if he didn't go. He did not try to dissuade him. Long Haosher said in support, Grandpa won't say anything. I just hope that you can protect yourself well. This time, there are many experts in Heavenly Path Mountain. No matter what happens, your life is the most important. Do you understand? Understood, Grandpa. I know what to do. After speaking to his grandfather, Longao chatted with his mother and father. In the entire dragon sect, the only person who knew that Longao was going to Heavenly Dao Mountain was Longao. As for the others, no one knew. Longao's meaning was very simple. He didn't want this news to be leaked. The Heavenly Dao Mountain's descent had shaken the entire martial heaven continent. Everyone wanted to obtain the Heavenly Dao martial skills of the Heavenly Daos, as well as their core energy. In just 10 days, everyone began to move. This time, it wasn't just the ordinary disciples who were rushing to the 9 provinces Tianzhou. Even the strongest people were coming. It could be said that the descent of the Heavenly Dao Mountain had attracted all the experts of the martial heaven continent. It was easy to imagine how shocking the Heavenly Dao's actions were. This time, Longao hadn't gone to the Heavenly Dao Mountain with his true appearance. Instead, he had disguised himself and changed his aura. That way, very few people would be able to recognize him. According to the Heavenly Daos, the Heavenly Dao Mountain had already descended. However, the competition would only start in 10 days. How could Longao not know what the Heavenly Daos meant? 10 days was simply not enough for an ordinary cultivator to rush from the martial heaven continent to the 9 provinces. However, for the experts of the martial heaven continent, such as Tong Tiandi and the others, not to mention 10 days, they would only need a few hours to reach the 9 provinces. However, Longao was still oversimplifying things. The temptation of the Heavenly Dao Mountain was too great. Practically all the powers had rushed over. Under normal circumstances, ordinary cultivators wouldn't be able to reach the 9 provinces in 10 days. However, everyone could use the transportation formation. That way, 10 days would be enough. Heavenly Dao Mountain, continent of the 9 continents, Tianzhou. A towering mountain had appeared on the originally flat ground. At a glance, one couldn't see the end of it. It was as if the mountain was connected to the 9 heavens. It was a spectacular sight. The surroundings of the Heavenly Dao Mountain were quiet. There wasn't a single person in sight. However, anyone with a discerning eye could tell that the Heavenly Dao Mountain was currently filled with people. It was just that they had hidden themselves very well. If the Heavenly Dao Mountain didn't start, no one would be willing to be the first to show themselves. Longao had already arrived at the Heavenly Dao Mountain. However, he didn't go near it. Now that he had changed, even if his enemies were in front of him, they wouldn't be able to recognize him. The 10 great tripods were all present. Even the 10 master and the various elders were present. It seemed like everyone wanted to fight for the Heavenly Dao Mountain's Heavenly Dao martial technique and the so-called source energy. Shangguan Yi? Looking at the headquarters of the Martial Artists Alliance in the distance, Longao sneered. He had already guessed that the Martial Artists Alliance would definitely come to the Heavenly Dao Mountain this time. Not only Tong Tiandi and Tang Hao, but even Shangguan Yi would be no exception. If it was before, Longao would definitely not act rashly. After all, Shangguan Yi's strength was obvious. A Nirvana realm martial artist was already a top-notch existence in the Tianwu continent. However, the situation was completely different now. With the 2 weeping soul beasts given by the clairvoyant, Longao had full confidence that it wouldn't be difficult for him to kill Shangguan Yi. This time, Longao had already decided that no matter what happened, he had to kill Shangguan Yi and the others. Otherwise, if he didn't remove the roots when cutting the weeds, they would grow again when the spring breeze blew. Half of the 10 days had passed. In other words, there were only 5 days left before the Heavenly Dao Mountain officially started. At that time, all the experts would enter the Heavenly Dao Mountain. At that time, corpses would be everywhere and rivers of blood would be unavoidable. Why did the Heavenly Dao do this? After all, in the eyes of the Heavenly Dao, these people were no different from ants. Why did it do this? Chapter 1078. The Deputy Chief of the Martial Artists Alliance, Shanghai Yi. The Sword Sect's Deacon Elder, Lu Changsheng. The Grand Elder of the Dragon Tribe, Long Hang. Longao had decided to kill the 3 of them while he had the two powerful weeping soul beasts with him during the heavenly Tao Mountain's arrival this time, so that they would not cause trouble for him in the future. Opportunities were always left to those who were determined. Longao had always remembered a sentence, and that was, being merciful to the enemy was being cruel to oneself. The first person he would deal with was the Martial Artists Alliance's deputy chief, Shanghaiya. As a Nirvana martial artist, Shanghaiya's ability was the biggest threat to him. Time passed by bit by bit. In the blink of an eye, 4 days had passed. The Heavenly Tao Mountains battle would officially begin tomorrow. By then, countless people would rush into the Heavenly Tao Mountain. It would be a lie to say that he was not worried and fearful. Longao was no exception. Although he had the help of the two weeping soul beasts, Longao was still a little worried. It was better to be safe than sorry. On Longao's peak, Yi Wushuang was still looking for Longao. Even the arrival of the Heavenly Tao Mountain did not attract Yi Wushuang's attention. Yi Wushuang knew that the Heavenly Tao Mountain's arrival this time was actually a matter for the super powerhouses. To them, it was not essential. Apart from wasting time, they might even lose their lives. As for Longao, he initially wanted to fight Yi Wushuang. However, after some thought, he decided to give up in the end. Although Yi Wushuang was only a divine Tao martial artist, he was also a divine Tao formation master. Others might not know what a divine Tao formation master meant, but how could Longao not know? Longao did not want to waste any time, so he planned to deal with the Heavenly Tao Mountain first before dealing with Yi Wushuang. Since the marvelous mathematician would not recall the two weeping soul beasts immediately, dealing with Yi Wushuang was a piece of cake. Everyone was waiting for the Heavenly Tao Mountain to open. In the 9 heavens, Long Batian looked down at the Heavenly Path Mountain with a grave expression. He still didn't know what the Heavenly Path meant by doing this. Why would the Heavenly Tao Mountain descend all of a sudden? Oracle, what does the Heavenly Tao want? Shaking his head, Master God Diviner said helplessly, as my injuries continue to worsen, my Tao of divination is slowly deteriorating. I can no longer divine what the Tao of heaven wants. They were in big trouble now. Long Batian sighed heavily in his heart. Under such circumstances, who could stop the Heavenly Tao? It seems that the Heavenly Tao is still not completely confident. It wants to use the Heavenly Tao Mountain to test us. What do you mean? Looking down at Heaven Tao Mountain, Master God Diviner said, the Tao of heaven made a breakthrough and became much stronger. However, it wasn't completely confident that it could defeat the two of us. That's why the Tao of heaven set up Heaven Tao Mountain to test our strength. Once it's fully confident, the Tao of heaven will intervene. Long Batian nodded in response to Master God Diviner's words. So, no matter what happens, we must not do anything. I'm worried that the Heavenly Tao will act recklessly. If it destroys the 10-directional cauldron and reestablishes the power structure of the continent, it won't do the martial heaven continent any good. We can't worry about anything else. However, there's one thing I'm certain of. As long as we don't do anything, the Heavenly Tao won't dare to act recklessly. On the other side of the sky, standing at the peak of the clouds, the Heavenly Tao sneered. He could clearly sense the existence of Long Batian and the Heavenly Tao. It was just as Master God Diviner had said. The Heavenly Tao's cultivation base had increased, and his strength had soared. However, he still wasn't certain if he could contend against the two of them. After all, he had no choice but to summon the Heavenly Tao Mountain and draw them out. That way, he would have some confidence. As for destroying the 10-directional cauldron and reestablishing the power structure of the continent, the Heavenly Tao hadn't thought about that yet. At the very least, he wouldn't do such a thing without killing the two of them. The Heavenly Tao Mountain has officially opened. The Heavenly Tao's sure kill skill and core energy are within the Heavenly Tao Mountain. No matter who finds it, the others can fight over it. Once you leave the Heavenly Tao Mountain, you can't fight over it for 3 days. Otherwise, you'll be killed. The Heavenly Tao's voice resounded throughout the world. No matter who it was, they could hear it clearly. Everyone was pleasantly surprised. The Heavenly Tao Mountain was finally opening. As for the rules set down by the Heavenly Tao, no one dared to violate them. They would be killed. In the entire martial heaven continent, There was no one capable of contending against the heavenly Daos. In everyone's eyes, the heavenly Daos were supreme existences. As expected, as soon as the heavenly Dao's words faded, the heavenly Dao mountain began to shine with golden light. The terrifying Qi barrier around it vanished without a trace. Everyone was pleasantly surprised. Without the slightest hesitation, they shot toward the heavenly Dao mountain. No one attacked. The heavenly Dao had clearly stated that no fighting was allowed outside the heavenly Dao mountain. As for those who entered the heavenly Dao mountain, life and death were up to the heavens. Countless people surged into the heavenly Dao mountain. At a glance, there was a sea of people. There were people everywhere.